Greetings, Battle Brothers. It's me, Aurelia Tempris, defender of the Golden Throne and servant of humanity. Welcome in, everyone. How are we doing today? Pina8421, thank you so much for the bits. Praise the Emperor. I saw your video on Sanguinius' speech at the Eternity Gate. You could almost see the exact moment you fell in love with the mighty angel. I hope you have a most wonderful stream. Thank you so much. That's very sweet of you. Yeah, I love that, man. I love that, man. No one is as delusional as me. Let's just put it simply here. But thank you so much for the bits. I appreciate it. I'm glad you liked the video. It was you know, I had a really hard time deciding whether or not I would try to react to it. And when I watched the old one, I was like, yeah, that's probably the best you're gonna get out of me. That's probably the best you're gonna get out of me. I cried and cried and yeah. So I am glad you enjoyed that video. At least to me, it seems like you have enjoyed the video. And Glade, thank you so much for the 4 months of support. I appreciate it. Hello, hello. Currently making a badly drawn Mother's Day card? Yes. For those of you who don't know, Mother's Day is on Sunday. Get your mom a card or something. Anything. Well, not anything, but you know, get her something. Maybe it's $5. Maybe it's a little Starbucks gift card or something. Maybe do that. But we will potentially be streaming on Mother's Day, to be determined. Family has not decided plans exactly. Anyways, if we do stream on Mother's Day, I have a form on the Discord server where you can submit a Mother's Day card. So the whole joke is that I am the mother or stepmother to a bunch of blood angels because of my relationship with Sanguinius. So we made a joke that imagine all of the cards that I would receive on Mother's Day. So as a joke, you guys can submit your Mother's Day cards as if you were a blood angel, and we will review them on the stream. Let me pull the link up. Unless one of my mods is really fast and does it first. Because we could just share the form link and copy text. Oh, I might get there first. I think I did. Oh, dang. Oh no, I accidentally copied the whole thing. Copy link. Oh, delete. My bad. I put the wrong thing down. There we go. Yeah, I ended up posting the whole Discord message. Didn't mean to. There you go. If you would like to submit a Blood Angel Mother's Day card, submit. And Arrowmage, thank you for the bits. I realized something scary recently. World of Darkness werewolves are so OP that they could stomp a wolfen in 1v1. Oh, they're absolutely terrifying. From all the information I have gathered, yeah, those werewolves are scary. Their scouts are scary. That's what we saw in Hunter the Parenting. That was a scout, and it like bodied everyone. It was bodying everyone. And Vulcan Stratos, welcome in. That's very, very, the Vulcan username, but you're saying things that are very Alpha Legion. Gonna keep an eye on you. We're gonna keep an eye on you. But no, yeah, they're scary. Regrowing limbs and stuff. Ooh. I'm watching while in class. Why? Why are you doing that? If you're in like college and university, think about how much that class costs per you know, I mean, so if you think about your tuition and you divide it by your credits and then you divide it by the number of classes you have, it's like at least 30 or 50 bucks a class. At least. What class are you taking? Is it a boring class? If it's a boring class, okay. If it's for your degree, like the big chunk of your degree, I would pay attention. And Red Tail Wolf, thank you for the bits. Chats, be good to your mom. Yes, be good to your mom, chat. You know, the age-old saying, like, I brought you into this world, I can take you out of it. Just consider that. Just consider that. Good evening, Angron did nothing wrong. That's not what I normally hear. It's not what I normally hear. I think for the most part, you're probably right about that. I feel like that's pretty safe to say. And Wolflord Kanan, what in the name of All Father's Bone is going on here? We are going to watch more Warhammer videos because I do a lot of Warhammer book reading, but I don't really get into like some of the minutia. Like really, like, nah. Okay, people are going to be offended now. But there are some things that just don't get covered in all the books. For example, like the Minotaurs chapter. I'm not super familiar with them, so we're gonna watch a video about them. There's something about the Lamenters, because I was like, we haven't done Lamenters in a hot minute. It's been a while. And JPJ, hi, hello. So, there's a great video on Warrior Tier that explains his pain and suffering, but still love your design. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. How many more Warhammers do you have? I need a lot of Warhammers. But guys, if you're on YouTube and you haven't given me a follow on Twitch, could you do that? We are 15 followers shy of 10,000 followers on Twitch. That's a pretty big deal. That's a pretty big deal. Thank you for the follow. We're so close. We'll probably hit it this stream. I don't know what we'll do as like a 10,000. Yo! Redtail Wolf, thank you for the 10 gift subs. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Oh, what? And thank you for the 5 more, so 15. Wait. And then Arrow Mage, thank you for the 5 gift subs. I appreciate it. And for clarification, it's followers. I mean, I'll take more subscribers. Thank you, guys. Let me back up. I was like, wait. I was all like leaning in close. I've been enjoying the Spears of the Emperor's book. I haven't read that one. I was going to read Dante next. I just finished the Eisenhorn series. I just finished the Eisenhorn series. Solid. I mean, I do think the Eisenhorn books could have been written a little bit better. But overall, they're really good. No spoilers, no spoilers. I won't say anything. Don't worry. A Warhammer VTuber talking Warhammer lore on the internet? Oh. No, wait, no, you don't have to download Twitch. You can go on Twitch, on like your computer. Just make a login. Well, you don't have to if that's a lot of work. That's a lot of extra stuff you don't have to do. Oh, wait, is that? Hang on. Holy moly. Bro, I just saw that. That's insane. Redtail Wolf, thank you for holy cow. Guys, you see how on the chat over here, he has a little magical rainbow present. You know what that means? Redtail Wolf has given 1,000 gift subs. Thank you so much. And I know you said in your email that I didn't need to send you, you know, the mini that I owe you, or look, I'm gonna send it. You can't stop me. I have your address. I know where you live. So I'm gonna send it. Okay? Holy freaking cow. Thank you very much, man. Give that man a medallion. I mean, they did. That is more than 83 years of subscriptions. Quick maths. Yeah, you wait, 83 years. Oh yeah, I guess if it's a month each. My brain was like, my brain stopped working. No, you're correct. You're right. You're right. You never told me you're friends with Cha-Cha? Yeah, I heard about this when she did Smash Your Pass Primarchs with Bricky. Yes, I am. Yes. We don't collab very often because our worlds don't usually, like, come together frequently. But yes, we are friends. I must ask, does Dante do all the paperwork, or do you do some of the paperwork that would have gone to Sanguinity? I do some of it. It's a little hard, you know, as a custodian. I do have other duties to attend to, but you know, guys, that's partially why I'm busy all the time. I've got paperwork. aware of Aurelia. I haven't, you know, I haven't talked with her very at all. I'll say, I haven't talked with her very much. I was like, I've never talked to her. What am I saying? Penumbra, thank you so much for the bits. Once you finish working your way through Dante's novel and the devastation of Baal, you should totally check out one of my personal favorite Black Library novels, Darkness and Blood. It's a Mephiston. I have not read any Mephiston books. My overall process when it comes to Warhammer books, because I'm really excited about reading Blood Angels books, I like force myself to stop and not read them so then I can read other things. I've read Devastation of Baal, loved it, need to read Dante, and I haven't read any Mephiston books, but I really, 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 really should. I should. Because, come on, they're my favorite Space Marine Legion. Like, I really should just know my stuff at this point, so maybe I'll just buckle down and just read it all. How's it going? It's going pretty well. I dislike how Twitch looks on the phone, but all right, only for you. No, man, no, it's okay. That's very sweet. It was just like, if you had a Twitch account, just a little follow, but you do not have to. I appreciate that though. 10 followers left, 9 followers left. Oh, I don't even know. I'm debating, we might not do a 10,000 follower celebration. We'll probably do like 10,000 follower celebration combined with hitting 40,000 on YouTube, because now we're about 9,000 away, which, you know, might still be a month or two, but we'll probably combine them rather than doing 2. Yeah, right now it rounds, but right now we're at 9,991. And I agree, Dante should rest. He needs a nap. He needs a nap just about as I need, like, as much as I need a nap. Guys, chat, you're gonna be so proud of me. Are you ready? Are you ready? You are gonna be proud of me. I got 7 hours of sleep last night. I got 7 hours of sleep, guys. Are you proud of me? Don't expect it to happen again. Look, after the crazy clip that blew up a couple days ago, I'm like, oh, I really gotta lock in. So don't expect it to happen again. How did I feel after the 7 hours? Actually, I felt more tired in a way. I felt more tired. Try to do 9. You ask too much of me. How many views did it end up getting? Let me get you the exact number. So it's not quite updated on my profile, but my analytics say 397,000. So a lot. I was surprised. I came home and I looked at, actually I saw TikTok first and I was like, whoa, that's a lot in a short amount of time, and then it just kept going. Yeah, no, you know, how do I tap into this? Did the Emperor make the clip? I mean, in a way he did. If you look at the clip, he kind of did. He was kind of pissed off if you think about it. So it did very well. I'm not sure when that will happen or if it'll ever happen again. We will see. We will see. That makes it your most viewed thing on your channel. Yeah, it definitely is, but also shorts are kind of hard to compare. Because shorts naturally will get more views than your like average YouTube video for the most part. That's just kind of how shorts are generally wired. So I would recommend if you're going to read Dante, assuming you don't already have the book. I get Lords of the Blood. It's pretty much all 3 Dante books in one massive novel. Okay, well, okay. I have to see because I have, I just use Audible and I get the books that way. But I will look into that. Striker, thank you for the recommendation. Sanguinius would have wanted you to get more sleep. Man, if only that would motivate me. If only that would motivate me. I read Dante's Inferno and I'm very confused as to how it fits into the rest of the Warhammer universe. Yeah, it doesn't quite line up, but you know, I'll leave that for you to figure out. I don't have access to the stream suggestion channel. Are you subscribed? Because if you are subscribed and you don't have access, that's a problem. That means we gotta fix something. That means things are broken. Oh, well, sorry. VTuber scuff is real. Honestly, the scuff happens all the time, but I did fix one of my other problems. Anyways, that's not what we're here for. We're here for lore. Should we do lore? Should we start with the lore? Thank you, Nuck and Boreas, for the follow, and Alex as well for the follow. This guy. Guys, we're close. That made me look insane. That made me look scary. That made me look so scary. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Okay, put this over here. Okay. What? Lore on the lore channel? Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not like, I don't have all the time in the world to like analyze and read all the books and read all the articles. So I think it's nice to get like a little bit of supplementary information. Oh, Wolflord Cannon, thank you for the bits. I love Baldermort's videos. It's been a while since we watched one. Oh, there's an eyelash in my eye. Ow. It's been a while since we watched one of his videos. He like narrated a story. It was like the Blood Angel and a general. It was so good. I think I cried for that one too. It was also very good. All right. Gonna switch over. Okay. Now, I have heard that this is another good speech to watch by DQV. Oh, I almost said Q again. DQVO. That's another good version. Can we commission Baldermort to narrate the Aurelia fan book like Vampire Hunter? You talking about that one? That'd probably be very expensive. He's cool. He's got a great voice. And X Luxter, thank you so much for subscribing. Oh, guys, we're 4 away. We're 4 away. No, we don't have Lamarte's speech on the list. What we have, here's what we got. Echoes of Eternity. So if we want to watch that, it is longer. It's not long, but we have kind of listened to it recently in the VOD. We'll watch this one first, the Dawn of War new trailer. Watch that one. We have a Lamenters video. I actually have 2 Lamenters videos. I wasn't sure which one to do, so I think we'll do both. I couldn't pick. The Minotaurs. We have a video from Pancreas, Adeptus Custodes. It's like 2 years old, but I want to know what he said. And then we have Dark Eldar by Crack Duck. We got a nice mixture. A nice mixture of things. So, oh, we're so close. And thank you, Cassatree, for the follow as well, guys. Maybe. Do we even start? Do we just wait? We just wait till we hit 10? Pancreas no work. We're gonna watch all of these. The only one I'm like hesitating on is the sanguineous one. Because frankly, I imagine this is very, very good. I just get the feeling I'm not going to have the same emotions as I did the first time. So I have beef with Pancreas no work because he hates on all the loyalist models. Maybe I should call him. Maybe I should call him. You two can hash it out. I have a really good time. I'm in a friend server with a bunch of Warhammer creators, just a bunch of people. And we play Wordle. And I tease Pancreas about his ability to play Wordle or lack thereof. But I won't say anything more about that. It's funny though. Any good Wordles recently? Oh yeah, there was one. It was terrible. It was the word eerie. Yeah, that one sucked. That one was bad. Everyone was not thrilled. I think I got it on the last try. That was bad. Wordle? Yeah, Wordle's what I play. Anyways, we'll come back if I'm feeling the sanguineous speech, which, you know, sounds unlike me, but I just, the other one had so much emotion, I feel like I'm just not gonna be able to give it what it desires. What it deserves. Well, mention my boys, we'll watch them. So we'll do Dawn of War first. Bow. 1 second. We're gonna check the audio. How was that? Was that a little loud? I'll turn it down a little bit. Good. Okay. Yes, I am married to Sanguinius. This is correct. If you want, you know, if you want proof, you can see the ring on my hand here. You know, it's proof that I'm married to the Hawk Boy, Golden Hawk Boy. And Penumbra, thank you for the bits. It's okay. We'll call in reinforcements for Pancreas. He can get some help from the Wordle bearers. I love that. I'm actually trying to, like, I've kind of beat him over the head with it. I'm trying to stop. I think I'm being annoying because I brought it up so many times. I feel maybe a little bad about it, but like not that bad. Not that bad. Did the machine god get that Windows 11 update? Ugh, Windows 11. I like Windows 10. But yes, I had to get the Windows 11 update. I think, yeah, no, this one I had to get Windows 11. Ugh. I'm technically a widow, and I'm still married to him. I'm still married. I'm loyal, even in death. Look, man, I could have gone to Linux, but I want you to consider how much work I would have to do to make all of my streaming stuff work on Linux. I am not technically savvy. It would have been a very bad time setting up everything. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You guys wouldn't hear from me for like a month. No streams for a month. Me trying to set it up. I don't even think I have friends that know Linux. I'm afraid to press play. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm just getting distracted. All right. Speaking of being technically savvy, we have a new Dawn of War 4 trailer talking about the Mechanicus. Steve. We love a good Steve. Oh, that's Aura right there.
Exceeded by 0.35 seconds.
Aura.
To face the Adeptus Mechanicus is to oppose those who have already calculated your demise. They are not just engineers or scientists, but instruments of war. All in zealous service to the machine god.
So, I have
From the
questions.
firing lines, the Skitarii Rangers' galvanic rifles unleash precision volleys, felling combatants before they reach their positions. Skitarii Vanguard advance without hesitation, irradiating those who draw near. The Cataphren Breachers are armored servitors, designed to break
Breachers
apart battle
cool
lines
looking.
and fortifications. Corpuscari Electro-Priests unmake those who dare test their resolve with the raw power of the
Unlimited
motive
power.
force. Completing the war cohort, lumbering Castellan robots unleash luminous storms of phosphor
Beautiful.
gunfire, whilst data
Every time I see the Castellans, I'm like reminded of, I did a collab like a while ago with a VTuber called Naga New, and she drew a cat Stellan. So it basically had like a little ooh-woo face and little cute ears. For the VOD, I will put up the picture. I don't have it with me right now, but it was kind of adorable. I won't lie.
carefully alter their battle protocols. Before the enemy can detect when the Adeptus Mechanicus will engage, the Sicarian Ruststalkers have already stalked the battlefield. Utilizing stealth, they can pounce upon unsuspecting foes in a killing frenzy. With the machine god blessing every calculation, the Adeptus Mechanicus send forth
We're just
their
not going to talk about the
engines of
elephant in the
war.
room.
Iron Striders are fast-moving sharpshooters, striding tirelessly across the battlefield to lend fire support where they are most needed. Furthering aid, the Onager Dreamcrawler is a flexible weapon platform capable of
Everything
eradicating
becomes
any
crabs.
number of threats. When the opposition starts to overwhelm, Scorpius disintegrators act as artillery, blasting foes with their Belleros energy cannons. Towering over the battlefield,
Finally.
the Knight Castellan stands ready to unleash its vast arsenal to vanquish all who oppose
Took
the
us forever to get there.
Omniscient.
I love the giant
What
drop pod.
makes the Adeptus Mechanicus true masters of the calculus of war are their stratagems. Whether using the Shroud Psalm to disrupt enemy fire, or summoning the motive force to deliver the wrath of the machine god with the litany of the Electromancer. The will of the machine god flows forth from two augmented commanders. Players can choose between Techno-Archaeologist Potentia Delta 9 or the Skitarii Marshal Sec X-23.
He's cool
Potentia
though.
Delta 9 sends servo skulls ahead,
I love
scouting enemy movement and uncovering ambushes. Able to adapt to any situation, players are free to augment their war gear, from using a phosphor blaster for close range to a plasma caliver for longer range combat.
Okay.
Sec X-23 marches forward accompanied by his Skitarii vanguard, making him a formidable opponent as he enhances his allies. Always analyzing, always in control. To the Adeptus Mechanicus, a battlefield is nothing more than an unrefined forge. Constructing the most advanced structures among the factions, they establish themselves across Kronos, ever expanding their noosphere network
I like
to
this
increase
animation.
the flow of holy data, output, and optimization. The more powerful the network becomes, the more easily the divine ordination of the machine god empowers the faction. Whatever lies ahead, the Adeptus Mechanicus knows one truth. The holy quest for knowledge must not falter.
Okay. Man, it took them forever to get to the knight. I was like, oh, so are they the only faction that can have knights? Dang. Yes, Necron's in Dawn of War 4. There he is, right there. That there guy, right there. I know, I was like, oh, the knight. And I was like, come on. Talk about it. Please, I'm begging you. It looked interesting, look good. Although, Electro Priests, those guys, I was of the opinion that there was usually like one, like they were more like pseudo commanders. I wouldn't expect them to see them in like a big group together, which threw me off. But that just could be my own impression. I'm not a Mechanicus girly. They're full squads. Okay, they normally full squads. It just caught me off guard. I'm not familiar. I'm just like, in my own mind, I imagine them to be like individuals that got deployed in a, not together, not in a big group. They're units. Okay. Okay, no, they are super cool. I just didn't realize they were in a big group together. So thank you for clarifying. I appreciate that. That seems it seems promising. I'm still probably gonna play Space Marines because I'm basic. But that's okay. That's okay. I was already called basic the other day. It's indirectly called basic. Let's just put it that way, okay? Okay. Yeah, the lion. That will be interesting. That's gonna be interesting. Okay. See where we at? Two more, guys. Two more followers on Twitch. Okay. Understanding the Lamenters. We're gonna spread out the Lamenters videos. We're gonna start with Mr. Bones. Very lighthearted and fun. Oh, guys, one more. Wait, or is it? Wait, no. Did we get the two more? Wait, refresh. Yay! Thank you, guys. We hit 10,000 on Twitch. Thank you, guys. I looked over and I was like, wait a second. I'm gonna screenshot this. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. This is awesome. Was not expecting, when I first started this whole thing, I was not expecting much. But the fact in just a little over 2 years we hit 10,000, look, I'm so happy about that. Oh, Shadow, stop that. Thank you for the 10 gift subs. Stop that. I am just happy that we hit this. Yeah, good job, Twitch people. And honestly, good job, YouTube people. We are also very close to 40,000. We are going to celebrate when we hit 40,000. I don't know what we're going to do yet, but we will celebrate. Bully with money. I was trying to think of a way that could be bad. Like, I was like, but I can't come up with it. I'm just happy. Thank you guys so much. I'm so happy to do this. I love doing this. This is my favorite hobby. I have other hobbies, but this is by far my favorite. I love getting to geek out and be nerdy with everyone. Oh, Mr. Clean, thank you for the 10 gift subs on YouTube. Just subbed on YouTube too. Based. Thank you very much. Oh my gosh, guys. Thank you. Would you ever be full-time? It would be nice to. It would be nice to. I just don't know how feasible it is. Like, my current job kind of, it takes up a lot of my time, you know, like working for the Emperor and all that. So my ability to work on videos and do longer streams is limited. I would have to get to a point where what I make on YouTube and Twitch combined, like, I would make more than what I make currently. Yeah, it can be a bit unreliable, and YouTube's been kind of weird lately. Am I a Femstodes? No. Actually, I'm a different kind of individual. Wow. No, I actually have a lore video. This lore was developed before the GW change. I'm just an original character. I suggest you check out the video. You might find my lore to be very interesting. Not your standard, I'm not your standard, Custodes. So, But guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me and making this absolutely, like, just so enjoyable and fun. I am so glad I get to do this. Even if it's not full-time, I'm grateful you guys hang out with me and grateful that you guys support me. So, it's her OC, please no steal. I would be pretty upset if someone stole this. Like GW. GW, if you steal my idea, I'm gonna get bonked. Kin's my adoptive dad? No, I have my dad. I love my dad. GW already stole my perfect man? Yes. He did. Hi. I'm Arthur. We might need to turn this one up. Might need to turn this one up. I know, Arthur's great. We gotta have him back on. I have to no, it's kind of late his time. Maybe I could call him. Cold call. Just ask him weird questions. Countdown until Sanguinius copyright expires. When does it expire? Because it's from the 80s, so what? Copyright's 100 years? Is that correct? So... so we got 60 years to go. Black Reaper, thank you for subscribing. Cold call him? Well, we should watch the video first. Dogehammer? Is it actually Dogehammer? Lamenter's video? Okay, I'll add that to my list of things to watch. Dogehammer Lamenters. One sec. Okay. I want to spread out the Lamenters video. I don't want to bore you guys. I want to bore you guys. Isn't that US copyright? Oh, great point. You're right. It's... You know, as an American, I'm so proud and arrogant. I always think everything is related to me and my country. Yeah, I forgot that GW is not an American company. You were correct. But guys, guess what? We can change that. We can change that. What if we took over GW and then we made it an American company? People would be pissed. Can we? I don't know. I don't know, but maybe? Maybe? Would models be cheaper? Well, see, here's what I would do. If I was in charge, I would see if I could also put a production facility in the United States. I would love to make it cheaper. If only we could vote who the CEO of GW is. Aurelia for GW CEO. I'll make the minis cheaper and we'll have less leaks. This is my commitment to you. Get my campaign. I get a campaign manager. We'll... Look. We'd make it happen. GW's copyright on Sanguinius ends in 37 years. Oh, you would... I just read a very upsetting comment. You would want Pancreas, no work, as GW CEO. You would choose him over me. I can't believe you would say that. It's fine. It's fine. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Are you ever gonna watch Pancreas AOS videos? Yes, I will. I just try not to bother Pancreas by watching 50 of his videos in one stream. So I try to space them out now. Anyways, we should get back to it. And Penumbra Skeletor, thank you for the bits. Arbiter Ian has lore videos. I was looking at some of his videos today, but I couldn't. I was having a hard time picking. So, we got options. We've got options. And welcome in all the new people that I've seen that said hi. You have my vote. Thank you, Tax Evader 00. Very based. Very based. I hope you did your taxes, but I think I know the answer to that. Okay, we have Mr. Bones, Lamenters. Let me check the audio.
Hi. I'm Arthur.
Was it good? I also will say every time he says, like, I'm Arthur, the way he says it, it's kind of endearing. I don't know if that's just me. Pank loves when VTubers watch his stuff. Yes, I'm actually currently waiting for him to make a hit piece about me. I'm waiting for it. I've been antagonizing him lately. I'm just waiting for it to happen. I don't know when the shoe's gonna drop. Okay, good. The audio is good. The first thing I hear is Aurelia hit list. Yeah, it's because I've been antagonizing Pancreas, so I'm waiting to catch some I'm waiting for him to throw hands in one of his videos and start slandering me. Anyways, we need to watch the videos. Let him? Yeah, you're right. That would really it's good advertising, so I should keep antagonizing him. We could duel on Tabletop Sim, but I'll probably wait till 11th edition comes out. So. All press is good press. In that case, that's friendly press. And that's fine. There is some press you don't want to have. Anyways.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Arthur. And this is part 9 in a 20-part series I am doing covering fan-favorite successor chapters in order of the legions. Do you need to have seen the other parts to understand this one? No, but it would make me happy. This video is going to probably upset a few people. Or maybe not, because I am very much of two minds on the topic of today. The Blood Angels are a chapter I have grown to like more than I did when I first started doing the YouTube thing. But in general, I find I am in such a weird spot right now with this. I think they are a bit underwhelming at the best of times, but I find their successor chapters are significantly more interesting as a whole. So where does that leave us today?
Fair.
What chapter are we discussing? The Lamenters. How do I put this into words that I think would be understood by most of my audience? Okay, so the way I view the Lamenters and the emotional journey involving them, and me, is that they are basically the Gohan of 40k, where there were so many people gassing up Gohan about how Hogan was during the Cell arc and how cool he totally was and how cool he was going to be, and they were kind of forgetting that Gohan is just every part of Goku that most people didn't really like as a whole, and they just added a bunch of elements like him being a bit more controlled and a bit smarter without being as obsessed with fighting. Gohan stands legit made me not like him as a character when I was in my teens and even in my early 20s, which is why it took me so long to be like, hey, that guy's kind of okay. Admittedly, it was because of a lot of video essays on his most recent adventures, as well as seeing the most recent Super movie, but you get my point. Now take everything I said about Gohan and just replace it with the Lamenters, and you can kind of understand why I was so averse to even caring about them for the longest time. With the preamble out of the way, let's break it down a bit, who the Lamenters are and their origins, which admittedly is pretty cool, and then go to some relevant pieces of information before we get into my breakdown of things. You know, break it down a smidge into more digestible parts. So what are the Lamenters and what makes them so interesting? It's actually all to do with their creation, which
Chip, thank you so much for the bits. I am so glad that you found out about Zephyr Arcade. They're absolutely wonderful, and I'm glad you were able to save money using discount code Aurelia. I'm so happy for you. They have been really kind to me, and they'll be sending me a Dreadnought, maybe more soon. for the Custodies, so looking forward to that. Sorry guys, I just saw that and I was like, yes, Zephyr Arcade, they're so amazing. If you want your Warhammer minis at a discount, use my code. I do get a little bit of a kickback. But if you want your minis at a bit of a discount, go with them. They're awesome, based in the USA. So, yeah, just go check them out.
And what makes them so interesting. It's actually all to do with their creation, which means that's a great spot to start. Basically, every now and then when people in the Imperium need a certain set of tasks to be done, pretty much indefinitely, they start a new founding of Space Marines, where about 10 to 20 new Space Marine chapters are created and sent off on their task. Chapters die off all the time, so they just keep making foundings because they just have to keep within about 1,000 chapters. During M35, a cache of unaltered pure gene seed was found, and thus a new founding was declared. But the catch was the tech priests that found it were going to tamper with it to improve upon the genetic stock that was there. Because fucking with whatever the Emperor did has always gone down well in the history of the 40k and even 30k setting, right? Yeah, I'm just dropping the pretense here. There is a reason why the founding was referred to as the cursed founding, which is, I feel, a bit of a misnomer. It's not really cursed, it's just the hubris of a few Mechanicus guys got in the way of actually making a good founding. So why is it considered cursed?
Wild.
Because every chapter that came out of this had something internally, externally, or cosmically wrong with them. Like the Minotaurs, which externally are normal Marines, have sort of an internal issue where they take a lot of glee in burning down civilian hives at the...
Oh, good thing we're watching that video here in a second. I did not know that.
Word of a single High Lord or even just a noble from the Imperium. Or you have something like the Firehawks, which if they get a bit too excited in a fight, they actually burst into flames. Albeit these fires don't actually like burn people, they burn chaos entities, which is cool and surprisingly useful. They got
It's like a chapter after my own heart. That's incredible. I really like that.
excommunicated, which is not cool, but you know, they're around. There are a bunch of other random Marines that got left out of the historical record that we don't know about from the Cursed Founding, as they fell to chaos, and the Imperium tends to want to forget that pretty often. We only truly know about one from the record that fell, and that was the Blood Gorgons, but I digress. The Lamenters were created in this founding, and the task of creating better Blood Angels gene seed had a decent work outline. Like, you ever think about it? Like, how can you improve the Iron Hands gene seed? No clue. There isn't really any outward flaw outside of the cultural stuff involving them wanting to seek perfection. But the Blood Angels, there are a few key flaws to the gene seed that tend to be highlighted. So for one, the Red Thirst, which gives them strength and longevity, as well as makes them kind of vampires and have this desire to consume blood. Then you have the other obvious trait, which is the Black Rage. This rage comes when they are pushed to such an extreme that they lose themselves to this sort of psychic death echo berserker rage, where they see what their Primarch saw at the end of their life, which is Horus and Traitor Marines. This usually gives them a huge boost in strength as they're channeling their Primarch, but also causes them to go irreparably insane. So get rid of those two flaws and just keep all of the other non-conditional benefits of the Blood Angels,
it
and
would be nice,
boom,
but,
you're great, right? Right? Yeah, it didn't go well. Well, it seemed like it went well at first because the Lamenters didn't suffer from those two afflictions for a while. I say a while because eventually cases of the Red Thirst and the Black Rage started to appear in their chapter, which kind of defeats the purpose of, you know, this entire founding, but it happens. The name Lamenters comes from the fact that the chapter is actually affixed with, I guess, a gene seed flaw of its own. It could also just be a cultural thing, as it's kind of hard to parse these kinds of things from each other, but it is this deep-seated melancholy that transcends the normal kind of sadness that you'd expect from a person that lives in the 40k setting.
I would like to note, you can tell how popular the Lamenters are because of all of the art. Like, how many chapters can boast, like, this variety of art? It's an insane amount. Like, I'm just like, wow, I haven't seen this before. I haven't seen this before. Like, so much Lamenters art.
basically, they feel the grief of the loss of Sanguinius more than the other chapters of the Blood Angels.
Me too, man.
Where others
Me
tend
too.
to represent it as rage, these individuals tend to represent it as sadness, this bittersweet view of the loss of such a noble being. There's also, another way you could ascribe a meaning to the name the Lamenters, and that's because of their specific curse that they inherited from the Curse Founding. Which, in simplest terms, I have no idea how this could possibly happen. The universe just hates them. They are plagued with bad luck and misfortune that, although hasn't wiped them out completely, they are known as being so unlucky that other chapters in need that are in dire straits, calling for help from anybody who will listen, will actively tell the Lamenters not to show up because they know something bad is going to happen if they do.
I didn't know that.
They show up to help with a minor Tyranid invasion on a small planet, and it ends up that within a few days, several massive hive fleets show up, and yeah, you can see where that goes. They show fealty to a battle brother who has been kind and rewarding to them by siding with them during sort of a political discourse, and it turns out that the person they sided with in good faith was Huron Blackheart's pre-evolution. People for some...
Oh, that's bad. That's bad.
reason, even without knowing their reputation, are more likely to not give them the benefit of the doubts in any matter. Like, a simple gesture for them is always going to be interpreted as a minor slight. Like when the Ultramarines wanted to reward them during a shared campaign with a gift from their chapter master, Papa Smurf himself, they turned it down as a show of nobility and gratitude, as well as respect. But by the Ultramarines, it was interpreted as a show of disrespect, though apparently they're still on good terms.
Wasn't that like it was a... I thought it was an iron halo. Unless I'm like tweaking and I'm thinking about something else. That's what... Am I tweaking? I might be tweaking. It was an iron halo. That's what I thought. Okay. I was like, oh, sure.
I was legit surprised to find out that the Lamenters don't have many novels. It's mostly just codex entries, short stories, and little addendums on other books here and there, and it's very odd, because even during
I would expect a book.
devastation of Baal, they didn't show up, and I feel like that's half because they probably didn't have the Marines to spare, and half because they knew that if they showed up, things would probably get worse for
I wouldn't
everybody,
blame
so
them.
they just kind of ducked out because they respect the Blood Angels too much. So, there isn't much to know about them other than that, but they have such a massive fan base, and they were given reinforcements from the Ultima Founding, which is way luckier than you'd expect considering what they normally go through, but it is, and as of yet, it is unknown if they are going to stay cursed, because they did receive a fresh supply of gene seed from the Ultima Founding, so it might mean that they're less likely to be unlucky, I guess. So,
I hope
with all that
so.
out of the way, you kind of get an idea as to their whole gimmick, but I don't think I'm doing justice to why people like them, and it took me, honestly, a while to find out myself. So, let's just get on to my opinion on them and how you should interpret them if you were, me. Because, basically, with everyone gassing them up, I was a little bit annoyed by the idea, focusing in on them and how they are just unlucky. It just seems like from a narrative perspective, if every single story of theirs is going to end with, and then they all almost died but won a Pyrrhic victory, it's like super repetitive,
boring.
and
Yeah,
I
agree.
could not
I can
really
agree.
latch onto that, which is why I was always so hesitant to read about them. This idea of repetition in terms of the stories that are being told for a faction of Marines, it annoys me, and it's something that
like
I
that, Art.
usually try to avoid. I try to see new stories and learn new things about chapters that have an evolving history that, can be tracked. So, when I was doing my research into them, it kind of clashed with a set of movies that I've been watching recently.
Oh.
Much ado about nothing, but I have been kind of setting this new rule for myself, just so that I can engage with media the way that I used to when I was younger, where every week I have to watch 5 movies. Doesn't have to be new movies, doesn't have to be old movies. I have a lot of new movies that I want to get through, but I just want to engage in films like I used to when I was younger. And a movie that I was watching was called The Fifth Seal, a Hungarian film that I'm not even going to begin to pretend that I understood anything without it being explained to me. I just took it like completely directly because I'm kind of an idiot, but with the aid of a friend as well as some video essays I was watching, it gave me a perspective that oddly enough aided in me kind of appreciating the Lamenters for what they are. So from a top-down perspective, looking at the narratives of the Lamenters isn't the purpose of them. You have to look at the Lamenters as if they don't exist in a vacuum, which a lot of people tend to hyperfixate on the insular notion that is most Space Marine chapters. You should compare the Lamenters to the rest of Space Marines in their founding, as well as the rest of the Marines in the stable side of the Loyalists as a whole, even the Chaos Marines that have fallen. Why? Because even though they could totally reverse their luck, see glory, and even gain greater acclaim by falling to Chaos and turning traitor, or even just turning renegade and turning against the Imperium, they choose not to. The question posed in the film The Fifth Seal that I kind of watched, that a friend of mine explained to me, is it better to be a tyrant in control of thousands with an iron grip with no conscience or guilt over your actions, or is it better to be a slave with a kind heart and a sound mind, knowing that you do what you can for the betterment of others, even at your own detriment? I think there is nobility in this idea that even the Lamenters know they are completely fucked upon any deployment, but still do it anyway, whether 'tis nobler to suffer the slings and arrows, right? I think that is why I have taken a bit of a shine to them. I like the idea of altruism without reward and even with punishment. I know there is this idea that altruism with reward isn't truly altruism, but much like most things in life, I don't think we should really think about it too much, which is how you should see the Lamenters. They are just cool. They are a good successor of Blood Angels and do require a lot of reading to understand their perspective to truly get why people like them. But like with me, even if it takes a while, I think you'll get there. So what do you think about the Lamenters? Agree with me that from a narrative perspective, they're kind of lame, but from a world building perspective, they are kind of amazing? Let me know in the comments down below. I know they're a bit of a fan favorite and people have been requesting them for quite a long time. Also, remember to like and subscribe as it helps me immensely. Special thanks to my channel members for supporting me, because with your support, I'm able to do this, but not only am I able to do this, I have a small surprise. I guess it's not really a surprise for Arthur Lord members.
2 years ago.
With the support of all of you, I was able to take on and actually pay an editor for this channel. Alice has been a dream to work with so far, and this is technically her 3rd video working with me. Albeit the 2nd video she did for me is going live tomorrow, but only for Arthur Lords. So if you're an Arthur Lord, you would have known that I have an editor as of last week, but I'm going to be having her work on mainstay videos on the channel from time to time, just to kind of lighten the load for me. Things are kind of getting busy in my personal life, so I kind of want to, you know, make things a little easier on myself and a little bit less stressful. So if you want to support me and my ability to pay for better work to be done on these videos and maybe up the quality of my channel, then feel free to become a channel member.
There you go. Go support. Go support. I already gave it a like. It's very good. Oh, perfect time. The ad is about to hit. The ads are about to hit on Twitch. YouTube doesn't tell me when the ads come. Oh. We're gonna watch the Minotaurs next. I'll get that one loaded up. Let me do the audio check.
Minotaurs, the brazen spear of the
That looked a little loud.
Emperor, the fury of the Space Marines on.
Okay, that looked better. Yes, thank you, Too Bright, for linking the video. Appreciate that. You're on top of it, I'm not. There you go. I will copy it over. Please go follow. There you go. I'll put it on YouTube. Yes, we're gonna watch more lore. I have not heard of this guy before. Well, sure, we'll give a little subscribe. Just a little like and subscribe. We'll like it in advance. And Snowdog, thank you for the bits. Honestly, my least favorite chapter here, their vibe throws me off, the Minotaurs. I've heard a lot of people enjoy them, but I really don't know much about them other than, you know. Sorry, I just read a comment on YouTube that I was not expecting. But I don't know much about them. I just know that there's like a handful of people that seem to enjoy their content and like who they are, but I don't know anything, man. I know they suck, but they also look cool. Yeah, that I've heard that they're kind of jerks. You know, put it simply. Oh, Snowdog, I saw your reaction to Dragon Ogres and thought I'd try to catch a stream. Well, good to have you. Good to have you here. Yeah, that was a good video, wasn't it? The Dragon Ogres. I really like learning about those. There's another video. Maybe how long is it? There is another video that came out recently by them. And where is, oh, it's here. I was like, why can't I find, I don't know how long it is. Hang on. One moment. I'm gonna go to my personal, let's see, how long is it?
We are.
Oh, it's long. It's long. We would not be able to watch it today. They have another one that they released. It's like an hour long. Yeah, I do not have time to watch that today by any means. But I might watch it on my own time because I did enjoy it. The author who created the Minotaurs did say they were intended to be loyalist Iron Warriors. See, look, we're learning new things. I don't have the time to, like, read all of the articles and the codexes on this, so I don't mind listening to a summary. As long as I think you take things with a grain of salt, no video is ever going to be perfect. But I think, you know, this is a nice balance of, like, okay, I'll read the books, I'll get the actual information, but at the same time, listening to some videos about what other people have like distilled and what they've discovered. Simply watch it at 4x speed, easy. I mean, there's some videos that I'll watch at 1.25, maybe 1.5. I can't go beyond that, otherwise I'm like not hearing anything. Depends on the video. Depends on the video. Ooh. Why are the ads so long? I don't know, man. He can't even see me. Can't even see me. He's he's in ad prison currently, but the ads are almost done. This is the shortest amount that I could like do without like having pre-rolls, because I want people to come in and not get hit with an ad right away. So this is the minimum that I was required. But I'm so... Oh, goodness. See, look, even after 7 hours of sleep, I'm still yawning during streams. Like, what's with that? What's with that? I'm just constantly tired. Just constantly tired. I don't... Yes, I'm sorry, Derek. The Dark Eldar are the most evil faction. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. You're back? I do need... Yes. Golden Boy Snuggles. You know what? Every time... I really want to make a Sanguinius Docky. I just don't know if it would sell well. Like, it'd be like, you know... It'd be Sanguinius, but, like, obviously not Sanguinius. I'm, like, so torn. Ah, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's fine, it's fine. We're just gonna... Should just make it for yourself, but, like, the art. The art's kind of, like, expensive. The person I would have... I'd have to look to see what she charges for dockies. But, you know, the art is the part that's, like, expensive. Any Raven Guard lore queued up? No, but not today. But, you know, potential for the future. You know, there's so many topics and factions. We can't get all of them. You would buy the entire stock. You don't want to sell it? You just want an excuse to have one? Yes. Because I would have to... It would be an indulgence. Because I would have to pay to have the art made. And then, I mean, getting it made, like, I can go to, like, custom print places and they'll print stuff like blankets and things. So that part is the easy part. But, like, you know, I would really like to, like, not let it be a money sink. Oh no, maybe here's an idea. I can talk about the Sanguinius Docky and we can see if people would get it. It would obviously not be quite sanguineous. I already have ideas on how I'd do it. But if you would snuggle with a sanguineous body pillow, let me know. Okay, I'll make that a short, and then we'll gauge the audience, and we'll see. Hi, Goomba. I was not talking about snuggling with a pillow. DM me. We should set up a collab. I'm sorry I wasn't able to join on Monday, but if I have like advance notice, like we could totally collab. Yes. DM me. I would like to collab. It would be fun. I want to play Speed Freaks, among other things. Oh, that's a good idea, making it a donation goal. Great Angel Docky, yes. Oh, he is great. He's very great. Anyways, we're back from the ads. Let's learn about the Minotaurs, okay? Okay? Well then. I'm not even mad. I'm not even mad about this. Raven's better? False.
The Minotaurs, the brazen spear of the Emperor, the fury of the Space Marines unleashed, pragmatic, brutal, efficient, and most importantly, completely uncompromising. They are looked upon with disdain and hatred by most other chapters, and although they possess an impressive score of victories, they remain shrouded in mystery, seemingly by the order of the High Lords of Terra themselves.
Oh, that's
the
not
Space
good.
Marines of this chapter are known to be antagonistic to just about anyone. They are brutal and uncaring for casualties and destruction, and are known for being deeply distrusting of others. However, this reputation used to be completely different, and to find out why, we're going to have to take a look at their shadowy origins. Most of this chapter's mysterious nature is owing to the fact that records on them have been sealed so tightly that even members of the Emperor's Holy Inquisition do not have access to them. We know that they are recorded as having been founded in M36 alongside other cursed founding chapters, such as the Black Dragons. However, this date conflicts with their first recorded appearance in M32, a whole 4,000 years before that point. This might of course just be a discrepancy, some mistake in the dates tallied by the Administratum, but with the bulk of their details locked up by Imperial decree, it seems odd to leave such an obvious mistake in the publicly available records where it can spur more questions. Aside from this point, however, the Minotaurs seem to be like any other 21st founding chapter, meaning that they were broken or unlucky in some obvious way. The Minotaurs reportedly were created using a chimeric gene seed, meaning that their genetic heritage came from two sources, and this manifested as completely untamed aggression. During recorded actions they took part in across M36, 37, and 38, the Minotaurs became known as little more than berserkers. They were always among the first Astartes to respond to requests for aid. They would then show up, proceed to snub local commanders, mortal or space marine, ignore any battle plans, and simply charge the enemy until the day was won. This, of course, did
It
not
almost
win
sounds like
them
World
any friends,
Eaters.
which was apparently fine with the solitary Minotaurs. And by the time they dropped off the face of Imperial records in M38, almost no one would work with them. We don't know why the Minotaurs disappear at this moment in history, but they would be presumed lost for almost 3,000 years, reappearing
Whoa.
suddenly in M41.
In the grim darkness of
That's
the far
weird.
future, there is only war. But at least you can roll in style. Whether you're battling across the war-torn battlefields of 40k or diving into a D&D campaign, imagine rolling dice that are truly yours, custom-built to reflect your hero. Hero
this
Forge,
is
the masters
interesting.
of custom
They make
miniatures,
dice?
are launching 3D printed custom dice on Kickstarter. You can personalize every detail, from a bust of your character to
Oh,
their trusty
wow.
companion to their favorite bundle of dynamite. These dice are built using the same high-quality 3D printing process as Hero Forge's full-color miniatures, ensuring each die is both perfectly balanced
that's
and visually
fascinating.
stunning. You get complete control over the design. Choose your polyhedral dice shape, number,
that's
size, colors,
really
and
cool. I
even what's
wonder
inside. Whether it's a
what
tiny
they
bust of your
cost.
custom hero, an orc warboss, or a relic from a legendary campaign, the choice is yours. And for the first time, you can even design your own decals, handheld items, or outfits to be added to Hero Forge as part of their Kickstarter rewards.
Okay, that's pretty
Check
funny.
out the Kickstarter campaign today by clicking the link down below in the description to see all backing tier options and to gear up for your next big tabletop adventure with our new custom dice. And don't delay,
That's
the Kickstarter ends
fascinating.
April 5th.
In the waning years of the conflict surrounding the Macarian
hang
heritage,
on, sorry. When did... A year ago. Okay. Wow, that's pretty neat. That's pretty cool. I'm curious as how much those cost.
two Astartes chapters who had been allied for much of the fighting had begun a series of skirmishes to settle a matter of honor. This controlled contest between the Doom Warriors chapter and the Inceptors chapter quickly spiraled out of control, and the two began killing each other in earnest. If you would like to know more
you
about
do.
this conflict, we went into greater detail during our Ultramarine Successors video earlier. But suffice to say that after the long drawn-out conflicts of the Macarian heresy, the High Lords of Terra were in no mood to just let two Space Marine chapters destroy a system because they were
yeah.
cranky over something. And this seemed
Fair and
like the
based.
perfect time to test out their newest toys because they sent in the Minotaurs to settle things. Dropping out of the warp at the helm of brand new strike cruisers and landing craft, the Bronze Warriors of the Minotaurs seemingly wasted very little words on their brothers from the
Custom dice set is $45. Thank you for letting me know. That's... All things considered, that's pretty good. I don't know, like, how they roll and how they feel, but considering you can customize those, like, pretty much, like, however you want, that's interesting. How many dice, though? It probably depends on if you're getting a 7-piece Dungeons & Dragons set versus a standard, like, D6 set, which I think they had 5? Isn't that also around how much you charge for your custom sets? Yeah, if I was doing something similar, like, let's say, you know, having the stick of dynamite in there, it would be more expensive because I would be 3D printing that with like a resin printer and then painting those by hand. So it would take longer and cost more than the $45. Nah, those dice must be terrible. Buy your dice from VTubers only. I am intrigued by them, and I think it's fascinating. Personally, I like handmade stuff, but I'm biased because I hand make my own dice, so I'm biased. But I think the concept is very cool, and I never heard about that before, and I was like, oh, that's new to me. Anyways, sorry, I just saw that. I was curious as to what it cost. I was gonna look it up later, but yeah.
Doom Wars of the Minotaurs seemingly wasted very little words on their brothers from the Doom Warriors and Inceptors, instead launching immediate strikes at both. Both of these chapters were ragged and badly in need of resupply at this point, and the Doom Eagles quit the field and burned as fast as they could away from the system. The Inceptors were not so lucky. These Ultramarine successors were proud and would not yield, which was seemingly fine by the Minotaurs, who
Yikes.
proceeded to slowly encircle them, picking warriors off one by one until less than 100 Inceptors remained, and they were forced to surrender. Gone were the Minotaurs of the 38th millennium. These bronze hoplites were methodical, pragmatic, efficient, but still deeply isolationist, and above all, brazenly cruel. As further punishment for their transgressions, the Minotaurs took many chapter relics from the Inceptors, as well as their battle barge to use as a new flagship.
Oh, shoot.
They did all of this under the willing protection and seeming direction of the High Lords of Terra. So while the Minotaurs had miraculously returned and were listening to battle plans, coordinating with fellow Imperial forces, and acting like real soldiers finally, this clear favoritism from the High Lords raised a number of gigantic red flags, and the Inquisition began to investigate. For their part, the Ultramarines and their successors all spoke loudly in defense of their brother chapter, the Inceptors.
They did carjack them.
The pillaging of relics and their sacred battle barge was unforgivable, and to this day, the Minotaurs are not allowed inside the realm of Ultramar. In fact, many successors of the 13th Legion have sworn to avenge this crime if they ever get the chance to, which is pretty extreme. The Uscreen incident is cited as the biggest reason why fellow Marines deeply distrust the Minotaurs. Their erratic behavior and ties to the High Lords, combined with other discrepancies such as being a chapter-based fleet yet possessing a fortress monastery on some far-off unrecorded world, has led those within the Ecclesiarchy and Inquisition, particularly those of the Ordo Hereticus, to make numerous attempted investigations into the chapter.
Attempted.
All of these investigations, however, are directly stopped from so up high that it becomes muddy to tell if they originate from within their own orders or from Terra itself. In some cases, not only have investigating agents been found dead and the Minotaurs to be found nowhere in sight, but even led to the reported destruction of an entire rogue trader vessel. Prior records have been locked behind seals that only a select few within the Inquisition may bypass, leaving few other details available for public records.
Okay, but I like this mystery. That's really interesting.
Surprisingly, the Minotaurs remain almost completely Codex compliant, maintaining the standard 10 companies and 1,000 battle brothers. In fact, it has been noted that their ability to replenish their numbers is remarkably quick compared to other chapters, owing to their extensive use of hypno-indoctrination and brain surgeries. They are currently led by the chapter master Asterion Moloch, a Marine of considerable age, although we'll get into that more later. They also have a Reclusiarch on record, a master chaplain by the name of Ivanus Incomi, so we know they have religious leadership. Their only deviations are found within the names of ranks or the existence of positions that are second in command of a company but don't seem to be the same as a veteran sergeant or lieutenant. Title variations also exist for units like their Contemptor Dreadnoughts, those being referred to as Hecaton, and of course the heavy reliance on brain surgeries and hypno-indoctrination might not be too strange during the neophyte process, but there are reports that these techniques are used to occasionally refresh the effects in full-blooded Marines. Culturally, the chapter could not be more different than other chapters. Their disregard for civilian life might not be uncommon among the transhuman warriors of the Adeptus Astartes, but their use of attrition warfare and ruthless assaults are. Marines don't typically measure their victories in acceptable casualties, but the Minotaurs appear to. The honor and righteousness of the Space Marines are replaced with barely restrained spite and malice, and their paranoia, even against allies, is legendary. Famously, the construction of the Minotaur's flagship, the Daedalus Crata, is made to be a literal labyrinth, with Lord Moloch's command throne at the center. These Marines trust absolutely no one. That being said, the Minotaurs of the 41st millennium have been able to work with other Astartes forces well, with even the Death Watch reporting that their Minotaurs brothers continue to serve with honor and distinction, if being a little brazen and pragmatic. Within this chapter, respect is only awarded to the God Emperor of mankind, as even the previously stated Hecaton Contemptors are treated.
That is a beautiful mini. Is that... Hang on. Trying to see who did the art for that. If someone can find out who did the art for that, I want to give them a follow because that's really good. Wow. Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. Sorry, I was just like, dude, that's pretty sick. And Fujak, thank you for gifting a sub on the YouTube side. I appreciate it. That's so cool.
Poorly, instead of with the reverence other chapters typically give to their honored dreadnoughts. The Minotaurs are also known for their willingness to prove themselves against any foe, extending to their warriors almost willingly coming to blows with even the legendary Custodes.
Stupid.
This mentality fits well with their style of warfare,
Stupid.
which is
Don't
now
do
marked
that.
by sudden lightning strikes, led by a vanguard of armored vehicles, supported by speeders and flyers to quickly crush obstacles. With the Minotaurs' aggressive expertise in close combat quarters, it should not be overlooked that they are just as capable during sieges, armored conflict, or void warfare, though even in these arenas the Minotaurs still prefer bold assaults and overwhelming force. The chapter's armory since their reemergence in M41 has always been noted to be very well stocked. Rare war gear such as Deimos pattern tanks is not surprising. These vehicles did stop production sometime during the Age of Apostasy, which followed soon after the Minotaur's supposed founding in M36. What remains baffling, however, is their access to nearly a dozen Contemptor pattern dreadnoughts and other rare dreadnought patterns, as well as Relic Tartarus Terminator armor, Spartan assault tanks, and their access to functional Storm Eagle gunships. Most of these pieces are rare amongst any chapter, not of the first or second founding, yet the Minotaurs seemingly have an armory stocked with them, leading to further suspicion from observers. Despite the uneasiness
They have sugar daddies and the High Lords of Terra.
and lack of trust given to them by other chapters, the Minotaurs served all throughout the 41st millennium, with distinction, albeit with their trademark cruelty. For the most part, they seem to have been used to destroy renegade chapters and force non-compliant ones back into the Emperor's light, or back under the High Lord's rule to be more accurate. The Cleansing of the Night Reapers chapter comes to mind, where the Minotaurs worked with the Red Templars and the Grey Knights to track and horrifically maul a formerly loyal chapter that had begun using chaotic sorcery and Xenos weaponry to survive a desperate penitent crusade. But of course, the Minotaurs also took part in some of the largest battles and conflicts of the millennium, proving their worth dozens of times over. They were amongst the first chapters to arrive at Rin's world to support the badly wounded Crimson Fist chapter after a massive orc ambush. And of course, the Minotaurs would play a pivotal role in the Orphean War, sacrificing most of their Void Navy and many First Company veterans to force a powerful Necron Lord to retreat. But clearly, one of their most iconic campaigns was the Badab War. Being one of the most intense Astartes civil wars since the Horus Heresy, it makes sense that the Minotaurs were sent into the thick of the fighting. The Astral Claws had turned from the Emperor's light and had convinced both the Lamentors and Mantis Warriors chapters to join them under false pretenses, of course. However, it didn't matter to the Minotaurs at all that their brothers had been tricked. They were deployed to the Badab system to quell a rebellion, and quell it they did. Many other forces were involved in that conflict, which will definitely be getting its own video at some point. But the Minotaurs had an impressive armory at this point, and were tasked with holding the southern end of the Maelstrom conflict zone against the Lamentors. And with the same ferocity we saw during the Uskreen incident, the Minotaurs swiftly and brutally attacked until barely 300 Lamentors remained to imprison and await judgment. Here again we see the Minotaurs taking relics and ships, adding the Lamentors' battle barge to their fleet.
They're just gonna steal your car. I saw the comment earlier and I was like, yep, here it goes.
And using it to continue pursuing the will of their shadowy masters on Terra. More recently, the chapter has been spotted at Cadia before the world was destroyed by the forces of chaos, and at some point after that, the chapter lost almost all of its gene seed while battling the corrupting forces of the Death Guard, who attacked the Minotaurs' fortress monastery before being driven off. It's here that the Minotaurs headed to Terra in order to gather fresh gene seed from the vaults, and found the planet in conflict. Corrupt High Lords had just come face to face with a newly revived Rabute Gilliman, Primarch of the Ultramarines and son of the Emperor himself, and they attempted a coup rather than lose their power. The Imperial Fists and Custodes stationed at the palace originally feared that the Minotaurs, by reputation, were there to aid the High Lords. However, the bronze-armored Marines start helping to rout out chaotic cultists that have been hiding amongst the Terran pilgrims for years and had taken advantage of this moment to attack. The Minotaurs did eventually come to blows with the Custodes and other Imperial forces during this time, as it became unclear which High Lords were loyal and which were not, But after having a
Yikes.
conversation with the last remaining High Lord, the Minotaurs stood down and were given some of the first of the new Primaris recruits before leaving to pursue other conflicts.
Good for them, I guess.
So, okay, what exactly is going on with these Space Marines? Normally, this is the point where we would sum up what we know and give our conclusions about the chapter we're discussing, but the problem is that we don't even really know who the Minotaurs are, but we do have some theories. Everything we've discussed so far has been either information publicly available about the chapter or hard-won by inquisitorial agents who have a bad habit of going missing whenever they go looking into the truth about the Minotaur's origin. And
That's, you know, it's bad when Inquisition agents start going missing when investigating something internal. You know it's so, so bad. And welcome in, Raiders. Good to have you. Thank you so much for the raid. My name's Aurelia. We are just going over some Warhammer lore. I can't read every book that exists out there, so this is a great way to fill in the gaps of my knowledge. I hope you guys had a good stream. If you need to raid and run, don't worry about it. Eat, sleep, do whatever you gotta do. And we're gonna continue learning about the Minotaurs today, so thank you again for the raid, and I hope you enjoy your time. It's gonna be nice and relaxing here.
who exactly is pulling their strings? It's certainly not a stretch to say that with the evidence we have, it's clear that the Minotaurs are a chapter made specifically to answer to the High Lords of Terra alone, a personal army of super soldiers beholden to the human governments of the Imperium above all other authority, which is, of course, heresy, but that's hardly the most damning conclusion from our discussion today. First off, we need to address that discrepancy in the dates of their founding. Their first recorded battles taking place in M32 is a huge indicator of our first big puzzle piece. The Minotaurs are either more than one chapter, or they are the same chapter that has been tampered with and reinvented over and over since their creation. The first iteration of the chapter would have begun around M32, just after the end of the Horus Heresy. In the aftermath of that conflict, many loyalist members of the traitor legions were essentially left homeless. Some would go on to join other legions, especially the Ultramarines, or specialist chapters and projects like the Grey Knights, Deathwatch, or the newly formed Inquisition.
For a second, I thought he was Alfarius. I won't lie, he kind of gave Alfarius there for a second. And Joshua Finn, thank you so much for the 10 gift subs on YouTube, and Grumpy Dunmirth for subscribing on Twitch. Thank you guys. I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Like, look guys, it is like, it feels very Alfarius, like bald, and then we've got like this teal, like this green teal, and like it's suspicious, and a spear. Like guys, that's just, it's suspicious. I find this chick funny. She's like, look, I'm hot stuff, and then she's got this weird head going on. I don't know, that just, it throws me off. She's like, look, wow, I'm so hot, but I've got this weird face. Oh yeah, I know she's from the Eisenhorn, trust me. Trust me, I know, but it just is, she's... Ew. Ew. I know what she is, but it's still, like, gross.
First part of our theory suggests that this very first version of the Minotaurs was formed from a group of surviving loyalists from traitor legions, specifically the Iron Warriors. This idea is mostly due to the fact that the mentions of the Minotaurs from M32 show a chapter much more like the one in the 41st
that was
millennium.
What I was thinking,
brutal,
too.
pragmatic, but still deeply strategic and willing to cooperate with other Imperial groups. Skipping forwards to the Cursed Founding, we see a completely different group of Marines, and then again in M41 when they reappear after dropping off the map for a few millennia. So, what's going on? Well, one answer comes from Edwin Brown, a playtester for the original Bad Ab War campaign. Brown is reportedly the creator of what we currently know as the Minotaurs, and he has confirmed that the Minotaurs of the 41st millennium and the Minotaurs of the Cursed Founding with their chimeric gene seed were two different chapters. He also confirms that the current Minotaurs were created using Iron Warrior stock, so that's pretty definitive. Now, GW can and has
okay.
rewritten and recontextualized their lore many times in the past, and just because the original creator intended these things with the Minotaurs doesn't mean the company hasn't changed it afterwards.
Right.
However, since the chapter still very much acts like a bunch of Iron Warriors, it's likely a safe bet that this lore is still true. Then add to that their impressive and ancient armory. The Minotaurs could certainly have been supplied with such powerful and well-preserved war gear by their powerful Terran masters, but it's more
Sugar
likely
daddies.
that they have been keeping a well-curated inventory for millennia in addition to stealing other chapters' war gear whenever they can.
Yeah, that's true.
And finally, the warriors of the chapter themselves. We mentioned before that the Minotaurs make extensive use of hypno-indoctrination and neurosurgeries, even on battle brothers who have completed their transformation. This would only really need to be done if the chapter's leadership were concerned with some sort of degradation in the minds of its warriors, which leads us into probably the wildest theory. The current Minotaurs have had their personalities overwritten with those of long-dead Space Marine veterans of the Horus Heresy. So bear with us on this one, but it is a possibility. The extra mental conditioning that the Minotaurs undergo could very easily be doing this work. That is, making sure the new personalities stay in control, and the biggest hint that this might be true is Chapter Master Asterion Moloch himself. Moloch has reportedly been killed in action only to be recovered alive no less than 7 times in the last 500 years alone. He has been active in the chapter.
Oh, are they gonna say that he is not Asterion? It's just another guy that's taken his place where they've put like his memories and like, oh.
For at least a millennium since the chapter's reappearance at the beginning of M41, making him one of the oldest serving Space Marines alive. Now, Moloch has reportedly been substantially augmented with cybernetics as he's lost bits and pieces of himself over the past millennium, and maybe that can account for his longevity, but the extra indoctrinations and his miraculous survivals seem to point to the idea that Asterion Moloch is an implanted personality inherited by every new chapter master of the Minotaurs. This would be a huge benefit for 2 reasons. First, it would allow every Minotaur Space Marine, no matter how new, to instantly have the experience and skill of a veteran many hundred years their senior.
Would be
and
pretty
second,
crazy.
it would allow for some programming. The final piece of this puzzle is the extreme amount of control the High Lords seemingly exert on this group of warriors.
They're more inclined to listen to them instead of being like, yeah, piss off.
Every Space Marine is loyal, but when you rush to Terra to defend the High Lords against the Custodes, the Imperial Fists, and the newly risen son of the Emperor himself, that's something much different. In that coup attempt we mentioned, we said that Moloch had a conversation with the last remaining High Lord before leaving, but we sort of swept past the details in order to save it for this, because it wasn't a conversation. As the coup was falling apart, the Minotaurs prepared to defend the fleeing traitorous High Lords, until Violetta Roskavler, the current master of the Administratum, approached Lord Moloch in his massive suit of bronze Terminator armor and whispered something into his ear. Moloch immediately withdrew. If that doesn't scream psycho conditioning, I don't know what does. And so now we have this whole picture, and our theory is this. The original Minotaurs chapter was formed from the loyal survivors of the traitor legions, and were at some point either destroyed or otherwise mysteriously vanished. It's probable that in this time when the Imperium was creating many new offices and secretive forces like the Inquisition or the Grey Knights, that these veterans came to work for the High Lords of Terra specifically, as they saw a need to have a chapter that would help them achieve their goals. Regardless of how it happened, by M36 the High Lords were in need of another chapter for this exact purpose, and likely ordered one created from chimeric gene seed stock to try and gain some new power. And they gave this force the name and heraldry of their old favorite chapter to continue that legacy. This ended up working about as well as any other cursed founding chapters, and the High Lords seemingly either let these wild berserkers burn out fighting useless wars, or eliminated them some other way. Flash forward to M41, and a full-strength and immaculately equipped Minotaurs chapter appears out of nowhere and proceeds to stomp battle-hardened Astartes chapters at the request of the High Lords, and they continue to do so without question for the next 1,000 years. We believe that the High Lords somehow saved at least some of the key personalities of the original Minotaurs from M32, and slowly rebuilt their perfect lapdogs from scratch after the failure of the Cursed Founding, using those saved personalities to ensure not only success, but total loyalty. But what do you think? There are certainly more theories out there, including one where Asterion Moloch is a Custodes warrior or remnants of the Lost Legions somehow. It seems like this chapter was made to inspire this exact sort of fan activity, so don't stay quiet. Let us know in the comments what you think the Minotaurs are, where they came from, and what we might have missed. As always, make sure you've liked and subscribed, or you might find the High Lords sending this chapter after you in order to bring you back into the fold for more lore.
So like I mentioned in there,
No, they're not coming after me. No, they would never do that. And thank you. I'll link you guys the video. That was solid. Let's see. I want to copy the, let me copy the link, dang it. There. It was not letting me copy the link. Yes, it was, I have not listened to more lore before, but I really liked, I liked that video. I thought that was pretty good. Overall, very informative and just very chill. So, I'll be watching more. I subscribed to them earlier when I was like, oh, yeah, let's check it out. Let's check it out. Yes, go sleep. Go to sleep. Have a good night. Now we have the Pancreas video. The Pancreas video on the Custodes.
so like I mentioned in there, do or don't, one of the great things about the guard
Okay. How was that for the audio? More Lore put out a new video today about the 10 most powerful Astartes chapters. Oh, okay. See, we're gonna have to watch more of these videos. I'm finding out, I'm learning about more Warhammer content creators. So, yeah. Was the volume good? I think we have one person that said it was solid. I'm just curious about anything else. A bit loud. I feel like they keep getting louder. Because I keep turning it down. Like, I saw it and I was like, it touched a little bit, but... Let me run it through again. Well, I'll let it play a little bit longer.
So like I mentioned in there, do or don't, one of the great things about the guard is how despite being regular people in a set
Okay, how about that? You guys got more of it this time. No, I don't touch it on the YouTube side. I always fiddle with it on OBS. Also, you're the only person who's been saying it's loud, so maybe you gotta turn down yours a little bit. Yeah, this is an older Pancreas No Work video. Okay, I did adjust it a tiny bit. What lore we learned today? We've done Lamenters, we've done Minotaurs. Now I want to know what Pancreas says about the Custodes. I'm really curious. So, we're going to see what Pancreas No Work says.
So like I mentioned in there, do or don't, one of the great things about the guard is how despite being regular people in a setting of superhumans, or super elves, or super bugs, and what have you, they still pull out victories regularly and make sure everyone knows you just got beat by a bunch of nobodies, which is something that makes them uniquely appealing. But at the same time, sometimes you want to be at the other end of that spectrum. Sometimes you want to be the super soldiers to end all super soldiers. Instead of being an endless swarm of humanity backed by enough basic equipment to drown the Sahara Desert in tanks, maybe you want to be part of a very finite group of people who are all so disgustingly overpowered that make Goku look like he needs to hit the gym more often. And between hitting 30k and approaching 40k subscribers, I figured it'd be fitting to talk about the fellows who embody 40k potentially more than anyone. Incredibly over the top.
Yeah, wow, he's like grown so much. Hang on. See, this was 4 years ago. This is a long time ago. 4 years ago. Very healthy growth there. Good job, Pank.
Superman, I figured it'd be fitting to talk about the fellows who embody 40k potentially more than anyone. Incredibly over-the-top supermen fighting in the name of a dead god in a nightmarish dictatorship, all the while wearing a tractor's worth of metal. Super soldiers that face the unrelenting horrors of the galaxy with no more than a shrug and an eye roll because they're so far above it all, it's like comparing Mount Everest to a sledding hill. So if you like being the best of the
I love his analogies. His jokes are great. And yes, I am a Warhammer VTuber. I was so into Warhammer, my friends said, you should stream and talk about Warhammer. And this is what I do.
eye roll because they're so far above it all, it's like comparing Mount Everest to a sledding hill. So if you like being the best of the best of the best of the best, being part of a chosen few most people can't even dream of being a part of, and ring armor so gaudy even the Elder would tell him to take it down a few notches, then look no further than the Adeptus Custodes.
Yes! Velius, thank you so much.
Silence. They're
Sorry, Velius, thank you so much for the 3 gift subs. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Sorry, we keep pausing. My bad.
Oh, and the Sisters of Silence, they're included too. You didn't think I'd forget about the Banana Girls in the Banana Boy video, did you? But first, a word from our sponsor.
Oh.
You know them, you've seen them, but for the first time on my channel, I would like to announce that this video is sponsored by none other than Raid Shadow Legends. Are you ever sitting on your phone thinking to yourself, gee, this sure is a phone? I do this quite frequently. But have you ever thought to yourself, gee, I wish this phone could play an RPG with more characters than Pancreas No Work has unassembled minis? Well, to that I say, I click Skaven, there's a lot of them, alright, leave me be. But also, you should play this game if you've ever had that incredibly specific thought, or you should play it anyways, because it's honestly pretty fun. Raid has over 600 different champions for use in the game. Each of them is in their own way effective at murdering their fellow living beings and can be equipped with artifacts to make them even more effective. If you want a solid campaign mode, Raid's got you covered. If you want dungeons, then you better believe Raid has you covered. Do you hate your fellow man and just want him to suffer? Well, you should probably get some help with that one, but until then, Raid's PvP arena has you covered once again. The game, while simple to play, has depth behind it because the fine folks at Flarium know what they're doing. Let me show you some of the fine heroes in this game. First off, Ethos. Now, this guy's a high elf, so that's all the explanation you need, but if that alone hasn't sold you on him,
Sorry, fan of the gold and the purple combo. I'm a bit biased.
I'll explain a bit more. He can lower someone's maximum health by 50% of however much damage he deals with one skill. He can guarantee every enemy will be weakened, so we can murder them even better. And for his final trick, he gives up on being subtle and just critical hits every enemy on the field. If you hate whatever's in front of you, be it PvP or PvE, Ethos is your guy. Maybe support is more your thing, no problem. Let me tell you about Ursula. Sure, she can decrease enemy attack and increase her own champion's attack, which is great, but that isn't what you want her for. You want her because she can revive every single dead champion on your team at once and proceed to buff their defense and strength. Imagine with me, dear listener, for just a moment. You know the Necron reanimation protocols? What if instead of just a few models coming back, all of the ones that were destroyed come back? And they also come back tougher and stronger. That's Ursula. Yeah, you're gonna want to use Ursula. And just a reminder that I've only covered 2 of the over 600 options for champions in the game. Did you know that it's Raid's 3-year anniversary this month? There's gonna be some good stuff coming, but in the meantime, they've released skins for champions, so you can customize them even more than you already could. I like this one because I'm easily distracted by shiny things. There's no time like the present is a good saying for a reason, clearly referencing the fact that there's no time like now to get into Raid Shadow Legends. Now keep this secret, but I've managed to secure something for you. If you use my link in the description or scan my QR code, you get a pack that top scientists estimate is worth $40 of in-game content. You get the hero's Misery Cord, Tiger Soul, Romero, plus 10 Magic XP brews, 10 Force XP brews, and 10 Spirit brews. That's a lot of raid stuff that you can get just by clicking the link or using the QR code. All this treasure will be waiting for you here. The police are hunting me as we speak for giving this to you, so I've got to go. You've only got 30 days to redeem these rewards, and only if you're a new player, so get redeeming and I'll see you there. Now onward, brave viewers, the talons of the Emperor await us. The Adeptus Custodes are what happens when God decides that just because he's all-powerful doesn't mean he can skimp out in the bodyguard department. When the Emperor was conquering Terra to turn the home world into the throne world, he realized he would need some super soldiers to make sure the victory was a guarantee and not just a probability. So he made the Thunderers, and they were great at killing and awful at everything that wasn't killing. But he also made the Adeptus Custodes, and you know what? He nailed it with these guys. Literally 0 flaws with the end product. Unfortunately, producing these glorious bananas is expensive. Like Jeff Bezos would go bankrupt trying to make one of them expensive. So despite the fact that anything his glowy majesty threw them at was swiftly referred to in the past tense only, the Emperor had to make do with the replacements of the Thunder Warriors, the Space Marines, instead, since there was really only enough resources to maintain 10,000 Custodes, more or less. Fast forward through the Horus Heresy, and the Custodes go from bodyguarding the Emperor by standing around and looking cool to fighting a never-ending war against demons in the halfway point between reality and hell. Because once again, Magnus did something wrong. A bunch of them died, though probably with a KD ratio that would make a nuclear strike jealous, and then the Emperor bites it and has to get put on the Golden Throne. Gilliman and Rogel Dorn tell the Custodes to
Okay, War in the Webway. War in the Webway. Super cool. Like the stuff that some of the Custodes like did. Like there was this one Custodes. He was like missing half his head, but he didn't like realize he was like dead, and he was still like moving. is crazy. It's wild how busted they are.
That put in the Imperial Palace and guard the Emperor for all eternity, and the Custodes smile and nod and then immediately start performing covert ops stuff all around the galaxy because no one but the Emperor can tell them what to do. Fast forward 10,000 years once again, the Emperor still hasn't undied yet, but Guilliman has, and he gets rid of his stupid order. Finally, the Adeptus Custodes alongside their allies, the Sisters of Silence, can officially get back in the game. And more importantly, Games Workshop can put them in the store for you to buy. The Sisters of Silence, meanwhile, were also formed roughly around the time of the Custodes in order to combat any psychic threats the Imperium might encounter. They're all blanks, which means they have no soul, or they have a negative soul, which is different than having no soul somehow. I don't understand it, but whatever, I guess. Either way, when they're around wizards, magic doesn't work, and when they kill a demon, that thing doesn't just...
It's more like a null field.
Get banished back to the warp. That dude is dead. And despite not really having any augmentations, they keep up with the Custodes no problem. Of course, after the heresy ended, they also disappeared for 10,000 years to babysit spaceships full of untrained wizards, before Guilliman once again realized how stupid this was and brought them back into the fray alongside the Custodes. AKA Games Workshop realized those models would probably sell pretty well too. That backstory felt lengthier than usual. But either way, that's what you should know before going into the talons of the Emperor. So why go for these guys? Well, do you want to be the winner? Because the Custodes are going to win all the damn time. Like,
Unless you're on the tabletop. You'll win in the books, but not on the tabletop.
half a dozen of them went against 10,000s of Tyranids and won without a single casualty. At one point, they went up against what was basically an infinite amount of demons by themselves and managed to hold the line long enough for the Emperor to shut the door in their faces. These guys are busted. Whenever they get deployed to a battlefield, the Imperium classifies it as a win. Thanks for coming, everyone, but the battle's over and you just don't know it yet. Even if they somehow lose, it's still called a win, so propaganda has your back, baby. The only in-universe enemy that has a chance in a 1v1 against the Custodes is an Eldar Harlequin, which makes sense because they're more or less the Eldar equivalent of the Custodes. Their god just isn't stuck on a couch. Like I said in the intro, they're also the guys for if you want to be the best of the best. The Custodes have a somewhat varied depiction in lore. They have been depicted as being weaker than Space Marines on a few occasions. However, they're usually depicted as being vastly superior, at least in a 1v1, and frequently even as a whole. One Space Marine during the Heresy even wondered if they were so effective at killing Space Marines because it was their intended purpose. Everything about them just oozes quality. The Emperor gives them their weapons and armor directly, and may or may not have handcrafted them as well, at least before we stop moving forever. The process to make them is unique to each Custodes and is a massive investment.
I know what Argotol did. Shut your face.
It's no exaggeration to say that the cost of making a Custodes is measured in planets. You are without a doubt the cream of the Imperium's crop. My favorite quote about them is when the Emperor outright told them he is careful to waste their lives while he'll let others be killed without a second thought. See, he wasn't just a horrible father to the Primarchs, he played favorites with all of his children. And even the Sisters of Silence are incredible by themselves. They keep up with the Custodes despite not having any augments for themselves. Their training is so balls to the wall that they can keep up with demigods just with their workout routine. With the Custodes and Sisters together, you have what's called the Talons of the Emperor. They are outright said in universe to essentially be an invincible fighting machine. The Custodes have no equal in the physical realm. If it exists, they can murder it. The Sisters of Silence job, meanwhile, is to anchor anything magical into the physical realm so the Custodes can kill it. If you want your faction to have a higher purpose, it's hard to beat these guys and girls out in that department. They're supposed to be not only God's bodyguard, not only the best super soldiers the galaxy has ever seen, but the people who are supposed to guide and protect humanity as it matures into a new age. They're a faction of angels. Like, I know that the Space Marines are often called the Emperor's Angels of Death, but that should go to the Custodes, not the Marines. Their tabletop stats are very much reflective of how incredible they're supposed to be.
I'm so bummed. Right before I got into painting minis, the Custodes were the meta when it came to, like, the game. And then they got nerfed right after. Because I was like, oh, sweet, not only is it, like, I spend less money because the units cost more points, they got nerfed. I was very sad.
How about we just cut straight to the chase? If you play Custodes, you're winning a fight against pretty much any infantry. Maybe things like Wraith Blades and Cornate Berserkers stand a chance against you in melee, but that's it. Each basic Custodes has a stat block of what would be a character unit in another army. I was comparing the Spirit Seer stats, a Hero Psyker unit, to the basic Custodes model stats, yeah, sorry my fellow elf lovers, we are not winning that fight. In fact, if you're in a 1v1 situation as a Custodes, just assume you're gonna win. 2+ armor save, 4+ invulnerable save is the
Yes, Sotek, we will play. We will play once 11th edition comes out. I've been holding off because 11th edition. Yes, we should play. Can we get a shout out for Sotek, please? Can we get a shout out? I should have done it for Goomba when he came by, but I totally forgot. Go follow Sotek. He's got cool videos. Go watch his stuff. Go watch his stuff. Yes. We'll fight. You also figured out the thingy. Oh! I was like, why are you saying secret things in front of chat? Why? Okay. I was like, I got scared there for a second. I was like, oh, man. I don't have... Wait, did I make a Goomba link? Did I make a Goomba link? Did I do it? No. I will rectify this. Mods, remind me I need to make a Goomba link. Please and thank you. I don't have one. I need to do it. Thank you. Thank you, Too Bright. Go follow Goomba too. Yes, we're all gonna fight. We're all gonna fight. We're all gonna play 11th edition. It's gonna be a great time. We're gonna have fun. Okay. Yeah, he is still here. He's lurking. I'm also a chronic lurker, so, you know. It's fine. I like lurkers. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll get in all the fights. It's gonna be a great time. I'm really excited. But yeah, I Custodes got nerfed, and it makes me the big sad. It makes me the big sad. Fine, it's fine.
You're not winning that fight. In fact, if you're in a 1v1 situation as a Custodes, just assume you're gonna win. 2+ armor save, 4+ invulnerable save is the standard here. You don't get to be God's bodyguards without being qualified. Bravery is also a non-issue. Their leadership is so high that essentially you're never taking morale casualties. Retreating to fight another day is disgraceful. You're gonna die like a warrior and like it. Of course, you might think that they're mostly a melee army and can't really shoot. Nah, you're wrong. Sure, they're best at melee, but they're still solid at shooting. Their basic guns deal 2 damage. Marines with 2 wounds might think they're oh so special until the Custodes roll up and obliterate them anyways. I'm sorry, did you think your power armor was worth anything? It's not. It's really not. Maybe you think you can overwhelm the Emperor's Chosens with hordes. Not if they brought a Witchseeker squad, you can't. Take that Dawn of War voice line where the Marine screams burn in holy fire and have a woman say it, and you have the Witchseekers as they incinerate entire batches of infantry. Worried about vehicles as a Custodes player? Just throw a Dreadnought at it. They're better than anyone else's. Sorry, Wraithlord, the Chad Custodes win again. That sentence hurt to type and say, and I want all of you to know that. And of course they have the grav tanks, because in an age where most of humanity gets to use World War I era mechanized units, the Custodes are cruising around in actual sci-fi tech. I feel
mediocre. I like tanks with treads.
feel like it should go without saying, but yes, they're powerful too. They've even got jet bikes for those people who somehow got the mad idea in their head that they could outrun the Emperor's 10,000. Special mention goes to the Rhino. Not for its stats or anything, I just think it's really funny that it's blatantly using an ultramarine paint job. How about the Sisters of Silence? What do they bring to the table? Are you in melee with a Psyker? You get to reroll all your wound rolls. You just do it. They also can't be targeted by or affected by Psyker powers. They look at a man using the power of his mind to throw actual physical lightning around, and they say, no, I simply will not be affected by this. I fear the day I go up against the Custodes sister army, because I run Eldar, and I will lose horribly. The models themselves are also absolutely stunning. They're a recent army in the grand scheme of 40k, so it makes sense. The vibrant golden colors of the armor are sure to stand out, and every detail on every model is perfect. There's a reason I said they embody 40k at its finest, maybe even more than the Space Marines. They're Baroque, Romanesque super soldiers with lightning spears and supersized guns, and everything I just described looks amazing. The same goes for the Sisters of Silence. They're just a little bit smaller than the Custodes, since they're physically just regular people. As for actually collecting them, boy are you in for a treat. They're very easy to paint. Do you have gold paint? Congratulations, that's 90% of your work right there. And because metallic paints are easy to work with, as long as you don't pour it directly onto the miniatures, it'll look good. The rest is some black, red, and gray for the various mechanical bits, and cloth highlights, and bam, you're finished. The pricing of these guys isn't as bad as you might immediately think either. You're getting less models for what you spend, this is true. But because you need less models to fill up a Custodes army, you won't be spending nearly as much money as a Guard, Tyranid, or Orc player. Save your wallet and the Imperium at the same time. That being said, even if it's entirely possible to build a solid Custodes army relatively cheaply, you aren't saving as much money as you potentially could be for reasons I'll get into. But of course, it isn't all fine and dandy, even for these guys. What sets them back from being perfect? Well, for the lore, you might be fighting for a grand cause, but you are fighting from the most uneven footing possible. The Custodes aren't just called the 10,000 because it sounds cool, there's only 10,000 Custodes in the galaxy. And while the Sisters of Silence don't technically have that same number cap, blanks are incredibly rare, so there certainly aren't many of them either. The fact that you're a veritable god of war isn't the Custodes being OP, it's what they need to make any kind of meaningful progress. Every loss is nearly irreplaceable, so while the Orcs can lose 1 billion boys in a single battle and not care, a casualty report of 5 Custodes is devastating. Despite being the top dogs of the Imperium ability-wise, you still get less focus on the Marines in the lore. And yes, every time I cover an Imperium faction, I am going to be bringing this up. The Custodes are always depicted winning, sure, but so are the Marines, and they get the attention more frequently. I still think they're in a solid second place when it comes to how they're treated, but once again, if you play these guys, you aren't getting all the the attention. Custodians are also pretty detached from the average person in a multitude of ways. First off, their status as the end-all be-all super soldiers means there are very few Custodies stories in a more toned-down environment. Even if it isn't all massive battles, it's pretty much always something dramatic and galaxy-changing if they're involved, so if you want something low-key, then the Custodies are not for you. Secondly, they're fairly detached from humanity. Some of them are disgusted by the weakness.
Yeah, if you think the Custodians are low-key, think again. They're in shining gold armor. That is the very opposite of low-key. Very much main character energy, the Custodians.
Of the average human being, while others do go out of their way to try and protect the average person and acknowledge that they're more than anything fighting for mankind and not just the Emperor. But at the end of the day, a Custodian doesn't have much to talk to your average person about, you know?
No.
It's like, sorry to hear you got laid off from your job, random citizen. That's probably awful. Sorry to interrupt, but please excuse me while I go back to preventing literal demons from eating everyone's souls. They're not exactly the kind of people I can picture myself sharing a few drinks at a bar with. To be
Not me, Pancreas? That's okay, I don't really drink anyway, so, you know, I guess it's okay.
honest though, I'm pretty low on lore problems with them. For the most part, they've been handled very well. There's a few nitpicks I could bring up. The Custodians having been more or less relegated to set dressing for 10,000 years springs to mind, but honestly I think some of that is more personal preference rather than something I can call an objective flaw, inasmuch anything I say in these videos is objective. And they even mention how they have to live with the fact they did nothing as the Imperium collapsed all around them, so that sort of thing can even be called an intentional flaw to give them character. But regardless, for once this means I actually have more tabletop negatives than lore negatives. What are they, you might ask? Well, as it turns out, the price of being the ultimate warrior is very literal here. Custodians units cost more points than any army that isn't a knight army, which, yeah, of course the mecha are going to be expensive. This means two things. One, you will almost always be outnumbered. Like a single
100%.
Custodians model is worth an entire squad of guardsmen. The only army that won't outnumber you is once again a knight army, and to be honest, I'm pretty sure that matchup favors the knights. The Custodians are tough. They aren't 50-foot tall robot tough. This means that taking objectives is essentially a lost cause because your opponent's going to have far more models to contest.
You have to win by secondaries. Or you wipe them. That's the only way you win. You have to play really smart. And I'm not there yet.
To wit than you ever will. You're designed to kill with extreme efficiency, and if you can't be doing that, then you're in real danger of losing. The other downside is that whenever you lose a model, it's gonna hurt. Because you have so few troops on the tabletop, every single loss matters. Where the Guard and Tyranids can go through troops like tissue paper, you can't afford to do that. That's why the Custodians can really suffer against Horde armies. While the Sisters of Silence Witch Seekers can burn through them, if you don't have them, you can be in real trouble as 50 different shots come straight at you. Eventually, one of them is going to get lucky, and when they do, the Custodians are going to feel that loss. Armies with damage reduction can also give you some trouble. The Custodians on average deal 2 wounds when they hit, which is great. The problem is, if this number is reduced at all, you're going to be dealing not nearly as much damage as you might think you should be. Let's take the Wraith Guard. They now reduce all incoming damage by 1. They have 3 wounds. This means that a Custodian will need to attack a Wraith Guard 3 times to destroy it. You can very well get stuck in against these units while others tear into you from the sides. You do have a lot of attacks in melee, so it isn't necessarily the biggest problem, but something you should always keep in the back of your mind. Speaking of the Sisters of Silence, to simplify, they're roughly equivalent to Space Marines. It's not a perfect comparison, but from what I've seen, they are closer to them than the Sisters of Battle, which means that while they're tough, they aren't tough enough to be effective bullet sponges with how much you're paying for them. Improper positioning can be the death of them, and then you're left without your anti-magic button that may very well double as your anti-horde button. Also, while you technically can field an all-Sisters army, it's going to be very bare bones and not have a lot of what you need to compete. It's good for fluffy battles, don't get me wrong, and that can be a lot of fun, just not if you're trying to win in a competitive setting. You also don't get any magic if you don't ally with an Imperium force. So if you want to run all Custodians, you not only can't cast magic, but can't deny it without using a stratagem either. With the Sisters of Silence being a thing, you might think it's not that big of an issue until you remember that while the Sisters are immune to Eldrad setting their insides to 500 degrees Celsius, the Custodians are not. You're also kinda slow. You have transports, but aside from them and the jet bikes, you aren't the fastest fellas on the field. Not horribly slow, it's not like the Death Guard or the Necrons, but just something to keep in mind before you charge your 10 Custodians into a horde of 100 guardsmen. The models themselves are also pretty samey. The Sisters bring some nice diversity into the mix, but even then they don't really take away from the feel of buff person and golden armor. They also don't have many characters, and the ones they do are buff dude in gold armor, buff dude in gold armor, and buff girl in gold armor. Not exactly a whole lot of variety here. Speaking of, if you can't stand the color gold, just leave. There's nothing for you here. Finally, and most glaring for your wallet, is this. While I didn't mean it when I said you can collect a solid Custodians army for cheaper than other armies, compare the amount of Forge World models available versus the Games Workshop web store models available. You'll notice that it's exactly the same. If you want the full-fledged might of the Talons of the Emperor, you're going to be spending some major cash. This isn't just some minor units
that's
you'll never
fair.
care about either. This is things like jump troopers and all your heavy armor. Without managing to find Forge World models on eBay or selling your soul away in exchange for resin,
That
you aren't
is-
getting the full armor without breaking the bank. Oh yeah, it's Forge World, so resin, of course. No one's perfect. I give
Ew.
up. And there we have it. The forces of the Adeptus Custodes and the Sisters of Silence. Nearly invincible in the field of battle, inspiring fear in the hearts of foes and awe in their allies. While you may be outnumbered and outgunned, you'll never, ever be outmatched. If you don't mind having the least amount of models in the field and an obsessive use of the color gold in exchange for the ultimate 1v1 supremacy, then there's no better army for you. Thank you, of course, to my channel members. The
Perfect.
continued support is greatly appreciated in my unending battle against the demons of chaos, constantly trying to break through my toilet after someone tried to call me using a phone taped to a bomb. That was a really dumb way to reference Magnus screwing up the Webway project, wasn't it?
What?
Thank you truly is what I'm trying to get at. Thank you all for watching, and take
Okay.
care out there.
Incredible.
I'm genuinely surprised to know this, but are you aware that Custodes is actually the correct Latin term for guardian? Like, Games Workshop didn't pull an Astra Militarum on us. That's actually how you would say it if you were a Roman. Guess even a broken clock is right twice a day, huh?
Huh. Well, now we know. Now we know. Mecha Paladin. I just found you through a short, never heard of you before, but I'm always happy to find 40k content creators. A VTuber 40k creator? Yeah, I'm happy you found me. Here, would you like to take a nice look at my armor here? This isn't just a phase, Mom. I actually am a huge Warhammer fan. Huge Warhammer fan. That was perfect timing for the ad. Holy moly. I could not have timed that better if I wanted to. I was ready to snooze that ad, but you know, we did good. We're gonna chat for a little bit. Oh my gosh. Dude, I did chest yesterday. Like, oh gosh, chest and shoulders. So I did that yesterday, but I also did 2 days prior, and I normally like rotate, and I forgot. Dude, my chest hurts. Hurts. When did I get into Warhammer? I got into Warhammer about 3 years ago. So in 2023, I read my first book, The Lion, Son of the Forest. Now let me tell you actually like how I found out about Warhammer. You're gonna like this. You're gonna like this. Okay. How I got into Warhammer. I played Dungeons and Dragons with my friends, and I had a DM who had a Warhammer adjacent universe for us to play in. It was not very Warhammer, but he had some characters that were named after Primarchs. So we met this character named Sanguinius, and one of my other friends, not the DM, who knew about Warhammer was like, wait a second, Sanguinius, is he like hot? I was like, what kind of question is that? That's so weird. And I said, well, look up a picture. I looked up a picture, and yeah, he's hot. So that was my first introduction to Warhammer, and then I started like pursuing that character in game. So I didn't start getting into Warhammer until like a couple years after that. And I read The Lion, Son of the Forest, and I was like, dude, this is really good. And then I just started reading Warhammer books, watching lore videos, and then I would like tell my friends, I'm like, oh yeah, there's like, I would just spew Warhammer nonstop, and they were like, Aurelia, like, you are like so into this, like, what if you like streamed? Like, what if you like talked to other people on like the internet about this? I was like, you really think I could stream and like talk about Warhammer? Like, I really like it. I'm super passionate about it. They're like, sure, why not? And here we are. So started in 2023, started streaming in 2024, and it's been a little over 2 years now. Yes, it was. Okay, I have since talked to my friends about this. I wasn't really upset, but it was kind of the impression I got. The impression I got from them was, please talk to someone else about Warhammer. I cannot hear about this all the time. They said, go yap on the internet. Yes. What if you talk to people other than me? Okay, I'm still friends with this person, and like we say it now as like a joke. They didn't really mean it. They genuinely thought that I could be a streamer, and I was like, okay, sure, I'll give it a go. Yeah. And here we are. I'm a streamer, and I am moderately successful. So, you know, honestly, it was a good idea. I can't be upset with them because they were right. They were right. The ads are over. Cool. That was like perfect timing. Does Aurelia commit a lot of war crimes? Probably things related to arson. I was going to pick a crime. And I was there when you started to stream. Good! I'm glad to see you. Look, I talk to people. It wasn't like just that one like group of friends that I like talk to, but I talk to other people, man. Hello, 40k VTuber. Oh, welcome in, SCP. Welcome in. I love meeting my fellow Warhammer VTubers. But yeah, there you guys go. Here, I'll give you the full, for those of you who haven't seen it, we'll do this. Oh, yeah, you can't see my screen, but that's fine. We're gonna focus on the model. We'll go kind of quick. You guys can see all the detail. It's beautiful. I got this made just, oh my gosh. This art was beautiful, getting this rigged. I've got a halo. I also have a cape. You don't usually see the cape because you can only see like my top half. And then I have a helmet. I use it for when I'm really locked in. Yes, and that is correct. My wedding ring is because I'm married to Sanguinius. This is true. And the braid. I do have the braid, but, you know, there's more of an emphasis on the armor. When did you and Sanguinius get married? It's coming up. My anniversary is coming up. Wait. I did a stream where I talked about if I got married to Sanguinius, what the wedding would be like. And then it just became like getting married. It's a really good model. Thank you. I appreciate it. She's beautiful. It's, let's see. Yeah, I'm an abhuman. Let's make that clear. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. My ears, I'm an abhuman. The Emperor made me perfect, and my ears are as they were intended. Does the halo give you energy shield or decoration purposes? Oh, both. Why not? Why not? Look, I'm a Custodes. I've got a lot of things at my disposal. June 15th. Okay, that's what I thought. I thought it was in June. I was like, it's either May 15th or June 15th. And I was like, I thought it was in June. June 15th, that's my anniversary. 1 week. A little less than 1 week before my birthday. June 21st. We'll do something. I gotta plan something for that. Wedding stream. Should I get a wedding dress for an outfit? That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. I have to ask if I didn't ask at the debut, are you using a new mic or are you intentionally dropping your voice? It sounded different ever since the new model. No, it's the same mic, but occasionally it has problems. Is it like a good different or a bad different? Anniversary is the same day as my birthday. Who would have figured? Whoa! We'll come back and I'll say happy birthday to you. I saw someone else had a birthday. By the way, happy birthday. I saw the note, but I didn't hear it. I would love to see a wedding dress model. All right, we'll work on that. We have a new outfit coming up. It's a more relaxed outfit. You guys will see it soon, hopefully. You have a Discord? Yes, I do. We have all the nerds there. We talk about everything. Second anniversary is the cotton anniversary. I am not familiar with this. So I have to get him something made of cotton. How about I get him something made of like silk or something nicer? I sound older now. Interesting. Like old or like more mature? That's so fascinating. Guys, do I sound more mature or is it just the model? So you think I sound more mature? That's interesting to me. The only war crime Aurelia has done is that she doesn't sing for us to do karaoke streams. It's been a while since I sang. It's been a hot minute. Thank you for the super chat. Will the Aurelia wedding cake be like a Taco Bell Baja Blast wedding cake? You know what? You know what we'll do? We'll review the old PowerPoint I made. That'll be fun. Here's what we'll do. We'll review the old PowerPoint and I'll make a new one. I will update it. How about that? How about that? You think the model has the effect? Okay. Okay. I will say I do carry myself a little differently, but I don't think it really... it's not all that different. Like, maybe I carry myself a little bit differently. Like, there's certain things I do. No, that ruins the immersion. I won't say that. I do feel a little less gremlin-y. I think that's probably accurate. Did I stumble into another 40K fan group? Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And we are watching more lore because I cannot read all the lore. There's too much of it. I have a day job. I may be psyching myself out because of the new model. Honestly, I could see it going either way. Will you bring Spider Dad in during the updated wedding stream? Oh, that's a good question. I'll have to ask him. Spider Dad wants to do more content, and we gotta talk about it more. Oh, no, I'll talk about this later. I wanna watch. I at least want to watch this Drukari video. I at least want to get through that. And maybe the other Lamenters one if we have time. Actually, no, I'll say it now. Spider Dad, you know my dad, Spider Dad. He proposed that we have a Spider Dad Day. Would you guys like to know what day he pitched for Spider Dad Day? August 8th. Let me know when you get the joke. Father's Day? No, Father's Day this year is June 21st. 8 legs, yes. August 8th, 8th month, 8th day. So, and it's a Saturday, which is perfect. So, we're probably going to do Spider Dad Day in August. I don't know what it will entail, but we will do something. Those are some core numbers. Mods, ban that guy. Ban him. That's heresy. You can't say that about Spider Dad. Ban him. I'm kidding. He can stay. It's also International Cat Day. Oh, you're going to have to tell him that. He doesn't like cats. Or like, it's not that he doesn't like cats. He's just like, about cats. Like, we're okay. So did Spider Dad find out about Primarch Kid? Wait. Are you talking about the Twitter post I made? No, I actually didn't tell him about that. I didn't tell him about that, no. No, he doesn't know about that. Man, I'm surprised you guys didn't bring that up. Holy cow. I don't know how you missed that. You have to build up to that. He's just gonna look at me and he's like, he's like, oh, okay, cool. Dad, I have to tell you something. I'm pregnant. Like, oh gosh. Oh gosh. Okay. Drukari. Oh my gosh. Oh my word. Okay. He's gonna have a heart attack. Yeah, he would. I follow the rules. I'm the rules child, so he'd be like, Aurelia did what? Huh? Okay, check the audio really fast.
Hi, friends. Today, we're talking about the Dark Eldar.
Alright, how was that? That looked good on my end, but, you know. I love that your cursor is servo, Steve. It's wonderful. I got this, I was thinking of, like, Donathon goals. And this was for people who did, like, they donated over a certain threshold. There's, like, a Steve cursor. Maybe I'll do something in the future where, like, the Steve cursor is, you know, another reward. I really like it. So a couple people that, you know, they have the little Steve cursor. It's really cute. I love it. And it's so nice because it fits the theme so well. And thank you, SCP. Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it, man. All right. So sorry. Good volume. Let's do it.
Hi, friends. Today, we're talking about the Dark Eldar. Oh, wait, hold on a second.
Classic. I love the video editing.
But yeah, today we're talking about one of the most, if not the most, depraved elves you'll ever find on these shelves. They're also some of the most elite fighters and the most advanced factions in the entire setting. So, if you like incredibly super edgy, horny elves, then snuggle into your crazy-ass skin blanket, grab your cup of evil juice, and let's get into it. Actually, a bad choice of words for these guys, but anyways, the Dark Eldar were formed with the fall of the Eldar Empire. As the Eldar were devoured by Slaanesh, only a few sects of the Eldar were able to survive. One of which were these evil little guys, the Dark Eldar.
I love the
Dark Eldar survived the Cataclysm, not by avoiding the gross degenerate ways of the Eldar, but by being such degenerates that they made their own city in the Webway to be even more degenerate. They dodged the biggest evil-ass god bullet of all time and were shielded from Slaanesh in the Webway. And seeing how the centuries of depraved decadence and degenerate debauchery of the Eldar had caused the birth of a literal god of excess and brought ruin to their great empire in a mere moment, the Dark Eldar took a deep look at themselves, rethought their life choices,
and kept going.
And took a turn for the better, leading a life of altruism and good clean living as they became shining beacons of goodness in the grim darkness of the far future. Nah, just kidding. They made like a prank YouTuber, looked at the consequences and said, want to see me do it again? And they did the same exact horrible shit that brought ruin to their entire species. In fact, they arguably doubled down since even in the Webway, the Dark Eldar souls were still getting eaten by Slaanesh. But they realized that they could refill their souls in a way by doing acts of evil and absorbing the torments of others, which, luckily for them, was already their favorite pastime.
So Slaanesh is getting, like, free refills. Good for Slaanesh.
So, I guess it's true what they say. Life lessons are for losers. But, sage wisdom aside, the Dark Eldar are in a way getting punished for their evil doings as they are still constantly feeding Slaanesh and empowering the Dark Prince. They're just acting like self-refilling, bottomless big gulps. So, they're caught up.
Dude, I didn't say they were big gulps, but See?
In an endless cycle of degeneracy, which is fitting for the addiction allegory of Slaanesh. Plus, in a way, they kind of inherited the thirst of Slaanesh, which fits very well thematically. But yeah, the Dark Eldar survival literally hinges on inflicting pain and torment on others, and let me tell you, they ain't complaining. The Dark Eldar might straight up be the most evil faction in the game. At least some other factions have flimsy delusions justifying their cruelty. The Dark Eldar, they just kind of really like it. So, in current time,
the Dark Eldar are canonically said to not see their soul soaking as a true necessity for survival. They literally just like doing it. They could also presumably use spirit stones like craft holders. Oh, interesting.
times, the Dark Eldar have only become more and more depraved. They have a culture of treachery, sadism, narcissism, cruelty, and compassion of any kind is literally stigmatized.
Yeah.
They primarily live in the insano, massive city of Kamara, deep in the Webway. Their capital of Kamara is a conglomerate.
This almost got past me. I almost didn't notice.
Of all Dark Eldar sectors and cities linked by webway portals and is said to be the size of a solar system, but thanks to silly webway magic, its true size is immeasurable and incomprehensibly huge.
It's big.
In Kamara, the Dark Eldar's culture of sadistic villainy festers. And if Obi-Wan thought that Mos Eisley's jizz and zany aliens made it the worst hive of scum and villainy, well, I'd sure hate for him to see the jizz of Kamara's aliens.
Ooh.
The city is almost exclusively inhabited by evil-ass murderers, slavers, general crazies, and perhaps scariest of all, mega rich people. Dark Eldar society has many classes, from the abused and miserable slaves to the opulent and oppressive nobles. But surprisingly, for such an evil-ass society, there is a decent amount of upward mobility between classes, at least for those who can kick ass. Valued above all in Dark Eldar society is combat prowess. The Dark Eldar are even more naturally athletic than the already impressive Eldar. So, of course, they're inhumanly fast, perceptive, cunning, and strong, in addition to being sadistic and vicious. Their reflexes are so great they're said to be able to dodge las shots, which, depending on how you choose to accept las guns as functioning, can range from nutty to faster than light and possibly super nutty. However, to be fair, there is a strong argument that their perception helps them recognize a lasgun about to fire, and they dodge that, so they don't necessarily have to be faster than light, even with a literal laser lasgun. But also, that would still be incredibly nutty, so I guess the point is I said nutty too many times, and I'm gonna stop now. Anyways though, Dark Eldar skin is also said to be almost translucent. However,
it's cause they're like VTubers. No direct sunlight.
Human skin is translucent, so this leads me to believe that Dark Eldar have some kind of freakish, opaque skin. Ugh. Another quirk they have to differ from their craft-world cousins is that they basically have no psychers, as their psychic abilities were depleted from their souls constantly being sipped on, and using psyker powers would also risk drawing the ire of Slanesh. But that's hardly a problem, as they have some of the most advanced weapons in the entire setting, since Eldar tech is just generally insane. Some standouts, though, are their dark light weapons, which shoot black hole energy or something, evil-ass blades, which can cut through basically anything, crazy-ass poisons, which can kill basically anything, and other evil, diabolical things.
Destroys everything.
But anyways, their emphasis on combat prowess means that even slaves can ascend to the highest classes of Eldar society if they're able to kill and maim their way there.
Even
For
as
example,
humans?
one of the best, if not the best, duelist in 40k, Lilith Hesperax, was once a mere gladiator slave, and currently she has a ton of influence.
So they're talking about like gladiator slaves that are already Eldar/Drukhari. They're not talking about the other ones. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
As the leader of the strongest witch cult, the Cult of
And I
Strife.
knew that about Vect, yes.
Which, pun intended, speaking of witch cults, let's talk about the military groups of the Dark Eldar. And since I already mentioned them, the witch cults are a female order of gladiators who dominate the pits of Kamara and are also mostly beautiful babes, which is surprisingly relevant to their fighting style.
You can't.
They revel in battle and do extravagant flourishes in battle in order to torment their foes. Their fights are so spectacular that the pain of their victims is able to replenish all of the spectators' souls.
Wow.
The witches often fight with very light armor, if any at all, in order to maximize their speed and agility. With that, they can let out a flurry of precise and deadly strikes before most enemies can even process what happened. In addition, they utilize a number of evil-ass poisons and wicked blades. And outside of Kamara, the witch cults utilize their skills from the pits to inflict torment on their enemies across the galaxy. Witch cults often conduct raids and are often hired by Dark Eldar forces for their martial talents. And then, next up, the Dark Elder cabals are essentially crime syndicates and pirate bands, often led by the nobles of Camera called Archons. These funky fellas are the most prominent subfaction of the Dark Eldar, and they're the primary source of new slaves and materials as they venture into real space to conduct raids. The warriors of the Cabals are the Cabalite warriors, and are elite warriors who can equip themselves with a wide variety of weapons from the Dark Eldar's advanced arsenal. While they're more heavily armored than the witches, they still value mobility and are relatively lightly armored. Their primary weapons are splinter rifles, which are kinda like Halo Needlers in that it shoots crystal shards. However, instead of homing and exploding, the splinter rifles shoot evil-ass crystals with evil-ass neurotoxins that induce an extremely
Everything is evil, 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 evil.
painful death in their targets. In addition, these rifles are often fitted with monomolecular blades to double as close-quarter weapons. And within their ranks, they're constantly plotting and training to overcome their superiors in order to climb the ranks through treachery and murder. So, it's essentially an army of Starscreams led by bigger Starscreams led by the Megatron. And that Megatron is the ultra-insano Lord Archon Astrobel Vect, who is one of the strongest and most influential dudes in the entire setting.
Yep.
He'll probably get his own video down the line, but some crazy things about him is he claims to have witnessed the fall of the Eldar, created Camera himself, uses little soul-sucking Mr. Terrific balls in battle, and he rides a little party boat called the Dais of Destruction.
But
pretty TLDR, he's an insano. And then finally, of the main three, there's the Homunculi Coven. These are perhaps the most depraved of the three, which is saying a lot. These guys are essentially armies of twisted mad scientists and their horrible flesh creations. They specialize in torture and are masters of biotechnology. They take slaves and warriors and IRL kitbash them into abominations, either to act as monstrous units of battle like the Racks and Grotesques, or just for sick kicks like old Talkin' Cherry over there. Hi, I'm Cherry. As in, like a chair, not the fruit. In addition, they're also able to mend grievous wounds and even revive other Dark Eldar through cloning and soul stuff. But along with their flesh abominations, the Homunculi use indebted warriors that they brought back from the dead to achieve their sickening ends. And beyond the big three, there's a number of mercenaries and warrior cults. You got the coolest Dark Eldar ever, the Elite Incubi, and these dudes were founded by a former Striking Scorpion Exarch, Auri, and are the greatest warriors of the Dark Eldar and some of the best, if not the best, in the entire galaxy. They are ultra-deadly shock troops and duelists who have the most rigorous and grueling training of all Eldar. To even become an Incubi, aspirants must single-handedly kill an elite aspect warrior. And most importantly, they look sick as hell.
They do look cool.
Which, speaking of sick as hell, we have these scary-looking shift trees, the Mandrakes. These dudes are not only scary cannibals, but they're also super cool as they have the power to hop dimensions and emerge from shadows to viciously kill their prey. Their origin is largely unknown, but they're some of the deadliest warriors of the Dark Eldar and highly sought-out assassins. In addition to their iconic Glimmersteel blades, they can also channel stolen soul energy into blasts of freezing fire, just like Ultimate Big Chill. Also, these nuttos were actually able to kill Vect. However, it's kind of hinted that he may have let them or even hired them so that he could ascend to Dark Muse, but the lore is intentionally left kind of vague there. And beyond those two, there's a ton of other mercenaries and warriors that don't really need to be mentioned here. But most interesting to me are the funny snake dudes called the Slith.
Oh, what the heck?
And like the Craft Worlders, the Dark Eldar generally try to avoid large-scale combat and focus on lightning
Small raids.
Their general combat doctrine is to deploy a ton of fast-moving grav vehicles and infantry. Incubi warriors will shoot hails of toxic shards, witches carve up their foes up close, and the Homunculi have their abomination steam ham. Most Dark Eldar forces emphasize speed and evasiveness in order to minimize casualties. These raids strike fear in their foes, feeding the Dark Eldar souls as they also score valuable resources and slaves for further tormenting in Camera. Some Dark Eldar warbands also seek out the strongest foes in the galaxy to face in battle or capture for their gladiatorial pits. And of course, for 40k, these lightning raids can often escalate into larger scale battles for cool artworks and such. Also, they've been known to help their Eldar cousins in times of dire need, but they're usually
Rare.
weird crazies who the craft worlders try to avoid.
I would
But
avoid
yeah,
them too.
that's a Dark Eldar. These fellas aren't really my favorite faction, as I usually don't enjoy the crazy depraved villainy of them as much as I like the more killy and spiteful villainy of something like the World Eaters or the Black Legion. I even like the more eldritch horror of the Necrons and Nits. And obviously I love the Orcs, of course, but the Dark Eldar, they do certainly have some fun aspects. Specifically, I really like the Incubi, Witches, and Mandrakes. Plus, they look cool as hell. Honestly, aesthetically, they're just straight up one of my favorite
That's
factions.
fair, very pointy.
The body horror stuff isn't really my jam, but the sharp, literally and metaphorically edgy look of the Capelites and other warriors
Edgy.
is really cool to me. Also, space pirates are always a cool concept. But let me know what you thought about the Dark Eldar. Are they too edgy? Not edgy enough? Or do you just like hot babes? Whatever it is, let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and big thanks to the patrons who support the channel. If you want cool time-lapse drawings and other stuff, be sure to check it out. And if you're in the Kazragan tier, you'll get a cool Crack Duck sticker. And as always, please like, comment, subscribe, and consider sharing
Nice.
to all your evil-ass degenerate elves. Thanks.
Don't share this video with
hey
me.
guys, it's your favorite character. Elves. Thanks. Hey guys, it's your favorite character Cherry again. Thanks for watching the video and whatnot, and I just hope that evil fucking vat-grown six-armed son of an artificially inseminated egg rat bastard turns me back into a person again one day. I don't really like being a chair, actually. It's not cherry fun. Oh.
It's not cherry fun. Don't send this video to me because I'm clearly not evil and I'm not an elf. Okay? You know? Looking at you guys. Don't do it. Don't send this video to me. Don't send it to me. Here, gonna share it. Share it on the YouTubes. Thank you, mods. Thank you, Too Bright. Yeah. Immaculate. Yeah, the puns were good. The puns were good. Alright. The last one. Do we want to watch another Lamenters video, or do we have another short one that we want to watch? Oh, I gotta say it. We have one by Crack Duck that's about Craft World Eldar that I see right here. It's in my recommendeds. Yeah, so this one's by the Remembrancer, but that's about the Lamenters. So, what do we think? Do we want to spread out Lamenters, or do we want to do so do we spread out the Lamenters and do something else? Or, do we... We've also got an Eldar video by Pancreas, but that's 4 years old. That one's a little bit old. You know what? Let's do Let's do the Lamenters video later. So that we, like, you know, it's spread out a bit more. I think we'll do Crack Duck's Eldar video. It feels like it fits nicely, but it's not like the same. Because I feel like we'll hear the same information. So we'll actually do this one.
This video is sponsored by
Let's check the audio.
Incogni. Hi friends, today we're going to be talking about these.
That looks low to me. How was that for you guys? Was that kind of low? This isn't a democracy, boss? Well, I try to, like, you know, I try to see what you guys want. You know, there's some times where I'm like, oh, like, maybe I want to do something, like, very specific in particular, but I don't try to... I I want to watch what you guys are interested in too. So if you guys wanted to do something more, I'd be like, okay. Like if people felt so strongly about the Lamenters, yes. You know nothing about space elves. Let's learn then. Let's learn you some stuff. First thing you should know. I am not a space elf. We're just gonna lead with that one. You learned a thing. You learned a thing.
This video is sponsored by Incogni. Hi friends, today we're going to be talking about the single most successful species in the entire 40k universe.
Yes.
Sure, they've hit some rough times and haven't been doing so hot lately, but who hasn't had their hiccups? Plus, despite being one of the key factions in the setting and having perhaps the biggest impact on the setting, these dudes are still a pretty underrated
Yeah, biggest impact on the setting, easily.
and neglected faction. So you can be both a pompous elite who's better than everyone while still somehow being an underdog. Today, we're talking about the Craft World Eldar and who can resist Power Ranger, ultra advanced ninja dudes with ghost
Power
robots.
Ranger, oh gosh.
Well, apparently a lot of people, but forget that. Today, we like them. And before talking about those funky Craft Worlders, we gotta discuss the Eldar race as a whole. But first, speaking of dying empire,
Just like an elf to lie. Look, I'm very honest. You were at my stream on Saturday. My dad was there and he said, I'm very honest. The most honest of all the siblings. So...
you know what empire's dying for me? The empire of annoying scam likely calls has been in shambles since I started using Incogni. That's right, this video is
Spam
sponsored
calls are
by
annoying.
Incogni. Beyond annoying spam calls, data brokers can be quite dangerous. Malicious ones may weaponize your personal information to carry out scary things like scams and identity theft. And there can be hundreds of sites that have your information. Before using Incogni, I found an alarming amount of sites with my phone number and address just from Googling my name. Since I didn't want anyone to find my home and threaten my 40k armies, I tried to take that information down. Unfortunately, a lot of these stupid sites made it a long, annoying process, and I wasted valuable painting time. But fortunately, Incogni does all that work for me now. Once given permission from you, Incogni goes out and does everything needed to remove your personal information from these data brokers.
I won't lie.
For me personally, Incogni has done a great job of taking out my information and has taken down my info from over 400 sites now. So,
I thought about doing this.
if you're interested, click the link in the description, incogni.com/crackduck, and use the promo code crackduck to get a 60% off on the annual plan. Thank you to Incogni for sponsoring this video. Anyways though, the Eldar were created by the Old Ones in the War in Heaven to wage war in heaven against the
Wow.
Necron menace. Since the Old Ones were getting their gobsmacked, they created a bunch of species.
Not my favorite piece of art because I feel like the old ones have to be the big, chunky boys. They gotta be big and chunky, personally.
To use like Pokemon against the stupid skeletons. And just like Pokemon, there's a physical and special attack split. So, where the Kroaks were incredibly powerful and imposing soldiers, the Eldar were extremely potent psychers. The War in Heaven era Eldar were probably the most powerful psychers the universe has ever seen as they went toe-to-toe with gods. Despite the Eldar's incredible sorcery, the Necrons were able to vanquish the Old Ones. However, after destroying the Old Ones and shattering the Catan, the Necrons had to go into the Great Sleep in order to evade the Eldar.
That's gonna be me
Although
later.
the Necrons had won the war, the Eldar had become so powerful that the Necrons couldn't possibly hope to defeat them in their war-torn state. So, with the Necrons, Old Ones, and Catan gone, the Eldar culled the Korks and took dominion of the galaxy, becoming the most advanced society ever. The Eldar was the most powerful and longest-lasting empire in the entire setting. Think about it. The current dominant race in the galaxy, humanity, has been around for about 340,000-ish years, whereas the Eldar Empire lasted for around 60 million years. And, keep in mind, humanity has had a multitude of different empires and governments throughout. Even the Imperium and Dark Age of technology mankind pales in comparison to the lifespan of the Eldar Empire. The Eldar Empire was incredibly technologically advanced, wholly unmatched in military might, and extremely expansive, immune to disease, unthreatened by external threat, and far beyond conventional societal struggles. The Eldar became bored and unfulfilled in life. So, real quick, let me do a little aside on Eldar biology. The Eldar are quite literally built differently. They may look like humans, but they are extremely elegant, superficially perfect, and they're also supernaturally fast, have ungodly reflexes, and possess an incomprehensibly deep range of emotions and senses.
One thing that I will say that I think a lot of people forget, the Eldar, a lot of people think the Eldar are just like humans, but like perfect. One of the things that you don't see very often in like the art depicting the Eldar is that they're supposed to be like so perfect, it's uncanny. Like abnormally thin, long features. Like they're supposed to look weird. They're not supposed to look like humans, but better. Yeah, weirdly lanky. Like, but you don't see a lot of that depicted, unfortunately. I think I'd like to see more of that. Like, it gets eerie when you see them in their armor because of how it's designed. So, like, it, you know, you're like, oh yeah, they're just a little more intimidating that way, but it's supposed to be a weird uncanny valley thing. Yes, but you don't see that a lot because it doesn't sell. Beautiful people sell. So, yeah.
And are all very psychically attuned. They are so much more refined than humans that they're said to perceive humanity in almost slow motion and find them very awkward. They even felt that way after looking at the non-me humans as well. And on the other end, humans tend to find the Eldar unsettling or uncanny because of the way they move and talk. But most importantly, the Eldar are freaky little fellas who have emotions and passions far, far more extreme than humans, not to mention their virtual immortality. So, with every corporeal problem solved, their curiosity got the best of them, and they began to explore more and more esoteric fields and doing, let's just say weird things. Thus, the noble values and altruistic pursuits that once defined the Empire were largely abandoned for some crazy-ass things. And this is where the Craftworld Eldar finally appear in their own video. The Craftworlders were societies of traders who lived aboard trading ships known as Craftworlds, and these aren't your typical clog and canal trading ships.
No,
the
they're
Craftworlds
massive.
were humongous continent to planetoid-sized ships that could house entire cities of Eldar. The Craftworld Eldar would go across the galaxy on trading missions and only return to the central Eldar Empire a few times every 1,000 or so years. Due to them rarely interacting with the greater Eldar Empire, they saw the race's fall to degeneracy more clearly and became increasingly independent of the Eldar Empire, some even having the foresight to prepare for an inevitable collapse in society. And so, eventually, the Eldar's degeneracy hit a tipping point, and the combination of the Eldar's degenerate ways, extreme emotions, and psychic might gave birth to the Prince of Pleasure, God of Excess, Slaanesh. In an instant, billions of Eldar were annihilated, their gods killed, other than a few, and their souls being devoured by Slaanesh. And only a tiny population in Eldar were able to survive. Most of those being the Craftworld Eldar and the Exodites. And even then, only the most remote Craftworlders and Exodites were spared as the psychic cataclysm was just so intense.
It was
This
huge.
left the Eldar population ravaged and essentially doomed the race since their reproduction was very slow, their souls are damned, and the once harmless threats of the galaxy became quite harmful and threatening all of a sudden. Which, also, I'm not an elf simp or anything, but it does irk me when people blame the Craftworld Eldar for birthing Slaanesh. They were like the 0.01% of Eldar who weren't filthy degenerates who ruined the world.
Who does that?
But anyways, after the
Wait, who actually blames them for that? That is definitely not their fault. Like, what? Huh?
death of the Eldar Empire, humanity was primed to take the galaxy, and then the Craftworlders became dead set on preserving their dying race by keeping their traditions and themselves alive. In the present time, the Craftworlders continue to travel the stars, always on the defensive from Slaanesh and the opportunistic threats of the galaxy.
Beware of thoughts.
Some measures that the Eldar take in order to evade Slaanesh are Spirit Stones and their path system. So, let's go over those measures real quick. Firstly, Soul Stones are the little gems that Eldar wear and adorn their tech with, and They gotta wear these because after the birth of Slaanesh, all Eldar souls get devoured by Slaanesh if no other measures are taken. So, Spirit Stones essentially capture Eldar souls before they can be eaten, and they're put into the Craft World Infinity Circuit, which is like a big ol' soul piggy bank.
It's pretty cool.
In addition, Eldar souls from the Infinity Circuit can be taken and put into the coolest Eldar thing ever, the Wraith Constructs. However, most of the time, this leaves the warrior in a haze, and they need guidance of a Spirit Seer to function. Anyways, though, the other way they keep from having the devil eat their soul is by partaking in the mystical and archaic practice of having a fucking hobby. Much like how humans without a hobby fall to doom scrolling and jorking it all day, Eldar without a hobby tend to fall to sadistic murder parties and literal apocalypse level degeneracy. So they have this thing called the Azerani Path System in order to prevent this. Due to the Eldar's tendency towards the extremes and natural desire for powerful sensations, they channel their inner angst towards a goal. Whoa! Breaking news! After 60 million years, Ultra Mega Race discovers that having a goal in life is a good thing.
I mean...
Joking aside,
Wow.
though, these goals aren't quite like normal human goals, such as buying a house, getting a stable job, having more than 2 friends. No, Eldar goals are realistic. Just kidding, or maybe not. But anyways, Eldar paths, like literally everything else they do, is incredibly extreme and crazy at anyone who isn't virtually immortal. All Craft World Eldar pick a path and then wholly dedicate themselves to that path. They set out to completely master whatever path they chose,
It's
and this
admirable.
theoretically distracts them from their dangerous urges. And these paths they chose, and this theoretically distracts them from their
Why? Why would you do that? What? And what? That doesn't make sense to me. What? What? Oh, never mind.
dangerous urges. And these paths can be basically anything, from passive gardening or something stupid to perhaps the most famous path of the warrior that the aspect warriors partake in. And an Eldar
pretty
can
sick.
change their path whenever they deem necessary or whenever they feel like they've learned as much as they could from that path.
Yes,
Although they
Rocket,
abandoned their past
100%.
paths, the experiences on the paths enrich their spirit and helped expand their minds even further for their future endeavors.
I sure hope it's not real. Holy cow.
Alternatively, if they get too immersed in their path, they may be lost on the path and unable to do anything but whatever their path is.
Ooh, that
But
sounds
back
good.
to the
Fine
warrior
dining.
path thing. Those on the path of the warrior are the aspect warriors, and they are one of the most, if not the most, elite warriors in the entire setting. Honestly, I'd say in general, the Aspect Warriors are the most elite warriors in the setting, with only really the Custodians or other Eldar factions coming close.
Ayy.
Take note, I said most elite, not most powerful.
Correct.
Marines and Orcs have more brute force and durability, and there's some other big boy threats out there, but in
Big
terms of
boy.
sheer skill, the Eldar elites are largely unmatched. But anyways, another prominent warrior for the Eldar are, of course, their Psychers. They have, or are supposed to have, the most powerful Psychers of all the main factions. Although they're far weaker than their War in Heaven counterparts and can't unleash their full might lest they get their souls eaten or they turn into crystals or whatever, the Eldar Seers are still a very deadly force, and
They
they're
are.
some of the most powerful individual units in the setting. And then finally, in these dire times, every Eldar is trained in combat, meaning that even craft-world civilians must take up arms to defend their dying race from the myriad threats of the galaxy.
Honestly,
Thus,
it makes
the
sense.
most numerous Eldar military force, the Guardians, are a militia. But them being civilians doesn't mean they're weak. Even though they're technically civilians, the Eldar Guardians are still on par with most factions' elite warriors, if not better, simply due to the Eldars' long lives and biology. The Guardians are split into 2 main groups, those being
I
the
really do
Guardian
like this
Defenders and
art
the
style.
Storm Guardians. These are basically just ranged versus melee, with the Defenders using shuriken catapults and heavier weapons, while Storm Guardians use chain swords and shuriken pistols. Speaking of shuriken weapons, though, quickly for Eldar gear, their most common weapon is that of the shuriken variety, and these funky guns shoot razor-sharp monomolecular discs at their enemies. The extreme velocity and impossible sharpness means that they can easily rend flesh and penetrate armor relative to comparable weapons of other factions. Also, fun fact, the magazine of the gun is actually a solid piece of wraith bone that the catapult basically cuts up into discs and shoots out.
Oh, that's
And then
cool.
another fun fact, these little tube thingies interface the gun to their armor so they can aim better. But anyways,
Oh, that's
speaking
neat.
of
I didn't know
armor,
that.
the standard Eldar armor is their mesh armor. These are psychic bodysuits that feel like conventional cloth when wearing, but harden when impacted. This means it's very protective while also offering unrivaled mobility and lightness. The mesh armor can also be fitted with psychoplastic plates for even better protection at the cost of a little bit of weight. But even the heaviest of Eldar armor is far lighter than their contemporaries. This plays well into their fast and furious hit-and-run fighting style. Which, speaking of, the Eldar tend to employ a fast and furious hit-and-run fighting style. This makes a lot of sense as they're already
Yeah.
the fastest race, but also because they must
Fast, yes.
minimize casualties due to the thirst god and their dwindling population. So
War of
they
attritions
really
are not
play
for
into the
them.
glass cannon build. Expanding on that, the Eldar generally try to avoid conflict altogether and use their Farseers to try and prevent conflicts that threaten them. This has varying degrees of success since they seemingly only talk like they overdose on brain max, and it usually goes something like this. I don't speak Italian, stupid. Gulp. How could anyone have foreseen this tragedy? Imagine dying noises now. But also, something very interesting with the Eldar warriors is that since they possess such powerful emotions, they actually feel extremely bad about killing. Unless they deem their victims to be mindless pests like orc or tyrannids, they
Oh,
do
yeah,
feel
well, that
really
duh.
bad. People often say that the Eldar view all other species as lesser beings for the slaughter, but it's not really that simple. Most Eldar actually sympathize with humans since they kind of see themselves in humanity, or at least feel pity towards them.
That's
So,
good,
when
at
fighting
least.
humans, Tau, or other sentient
They
beings,
at least
the
are sad.
Eldar must put on a metaphorical war mask to cope with the negative emotions of murder, otherwise they'll likely go insane with despair or bloodlust. But anyways, on that cool, awesome note, that was a Craft World Eldar, and admittedly, I'm not the biggest Eldar fan, but they are a cool faction, and I do feel like they are quite underrated. For some reason, it seems that everyone but Eldar fans hate Eldar, and they tend to get neglected, and I'm part of those who neglect the faction, but they are a core faction, and lore-wise, they're probably the most important faction in the setting, other than perhaps the Imperium. And to be honest, it's probably a combination of the bad writing and how pretentious and
Yikes.
stupid they can come off in 40k
Yeah,
stories.
they do come off as
Or
very
maybe people
pretentious.
just don't like the Coneheads and they think they look stupid. That's the reason I didn't like the Elder at first. I've come around to the look, but it legitimately did stop me from considering them as a faction to collect. But anyways, I'll probably make some more Eldar videos eventually. Definitely for the other sub-factions, but probably for specific craft worlds, and then maybe for things like Wraithbone, even though it's apparently just a rock now and not really special. I'd also like to
Don't talk to me about that. It's stupid. It's the dumbest thing I ever heard.
talk about Wraith constructs, weapons, and the fabled Aspect Warriors Part 2. Everyone go watch my Aspect Warriors Part 1.
Do it.
But anyways, let me know what you think about the Eldar and what's your favorite Eldar sub-faction. I personally like the craft rolls the most, but the clowns are funny too, I suppose. Anyways, thank you for watching, and big thanks to the patrons who support the channel. You're all very epic. Again, thank you to Incogni for sponsoring this video. Be sure to check out my link in the description, incogni.com/crackduck, and use code crackduck for 60% off their annual plan. And as always, please like, comment, subscribe, and consider sharing to all your beautiful elf babe buddies. Thanks.
Whoa, beautiful.
Also, let's not
elf
forget-
babe buddies. You better not send that to me, because that also involves elves. Don't do it. Don't send it to me.
Other than the dying part, being a craft world Eldar is probably the best life you could have in 40k. They live in a utopia, and as long as you don't die or have your funny rock with you, you're pretty fine.
That's a very good point. That is a very, very good point. And Jessica, oh yeah, we like having our 40k fans here. And my lore is a little bit different, so your friend might find that very interesting. Always like the race, the very 40k unit. Yeah, they're really cool, aren't they? I think they're really neat. That's why if I was gonna collect the Xenos army, it's gonna be Eldar. They're kind of cool. Eldar are stinky. I mean, this is true. This is true. They are stinky. They are stinky. Yeah, GW needs to get their act together. Exodites? Dude. So many people would buy Exodites. Like, I do not understand. Dinosaurs and elves. People are like, yes, do it. It amazes me that they haven't done it yet. It just surprises me to no end. Oh, I put the wrong screen over here. Oh no, oh no, oh no. There we go. No, I did it again. What the heck? I keep trying to grab my OBS, but instead I grab my Discord. Okay, OBS. There we go. There's OBS. Good job, OBS. We finally got there. Lizard. Lizard. Yes. People would be all about the Exodites for that reason. For that very specific reason. Let's see. Let's see if we got fun people we can hang out with tonight. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Actually, you guys want me to sleep longer? We might forego a raid. But tomorrow's going to be a chill stream. We are going to be working on my night. I have a night I've been working on. I've been really I would like to finish it because I have a Custodes Dreadnought coming soon. I have a Custodes Dreadnought coming soon from 30k. That's like the one thing I wanted from the 30k from that box set. I was like, just that. Only that. I know we could raid and run. I don't like raiding and running. I always feel like I feel bad. I feel bad doing that. Let's see. But maybe, let's see. Let me look at something. 1 second. Ooh. Oh, this looks kind of interesting. I might watch this. I might watch this when I get ready for bed. So, you know, we will raid. We will raid, actually. There's a VTuber. She's doing some IRL content, which sounds like fun. It looks like she's at, like, she's at a cafe. That looks really cool. Okay. That looks really cool. So, we're actually going to raid into Onigiri, for those of you who are familiar with VTubers. Yeah, like, you know, the Japanese cafes, they have, like, a Warhammer cafe over there. Or, like, they're going to make one. It's like ramen. Oh, I love ramen. It's great. We should do that. We're gonna... Oh, man, I want to go. I want to go so bad. Yeah, we'll raid into Onigiri on the Twitch side. So, thank you, everyone, for joining today. I hope you guys had fun. I know I always like looking at the lore and just exploring stuff that I've really not gotten into. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Don't skip leg day. It's very important. Don't be built like a triangle. Don't skip leg day, or else.